car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at richielaw.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pacers with a chance to win it. Final seconds, no fouls to give. Halliburton looking. Halliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Halliburton does it again. Their first lead of the game.
That was fun last night. NBA Finals Game 1. Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton does it again. Does it again. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. This is the Adam Gold Show. Victoria Vodenecker producing the show as always. We'll be joined at 12:30 by Brenden Whitted. We're going to talk a little bit more of NBA Finals Game 1 from last night at that time, but that doesn't mean we can't start with things, Victoria. Talking from last night, let's go ahead and get this sucker started. By the way, for all you college baseball fans out there, real fast, Super Regionals get underway this weekend, including right now. First pitch is moments away for UNC in Arizona. Underway. In the state of North Carolina, we have the Super Regionals starting today. Again, noon first pitch, so basically, again, right now, moments away. Arizona at number 5, North Carolina. Duke is hosting Murray State. That Super Regional gets started tomorrow. So here in the state of North Carolina, we have 2 of the 8. So 1/4 of the Super Regionals are here in North Carolina.
Yep.
So shout out.
Nice.
So shout out. So we'll keep you updated on some scores and stuff like that as we go along through the show today. By the way, no Adam Gold again today for those who are wondering, including Chris in our YouTube live chat. Is asking, is AG okay?
Oh, yeah.
He's just taking some time off.
He's sleeping.
It's the long hockey season.
He's just doing, like, barn activities and
Yeah,
stuff.
no, all those things.
Yeah.
Probably taking his son to soccer stuff. Who knows? But so, yeah, Adam Gold will be back next week. Don't worry, folks. Well, let's actually get to last night. Can I get 6 more of those, please?
I know.
Can I get 6 more of those? Like Game 1 of the NBA Finals coming down literally to the last second or last 0.3 of a second.
I like that we've had this theme now for basketball and hockey.
Yes!
I love
this.
Give
me more.
I know.
Give me more of that. Give me 100% more of that. So actually watching last night's game, I was during the fourth quarter last night, I actually even thought to myself, Tyrese Halliburton's been kind of quiet. Haven't really seen him with the ball in his hands. The usage rate really wasn't there a lot last night during the game. Then he did it again. 0.3 seconds left. Pulls up from about 21 feet. Team is down by 1 at the time. Hits a 2-pointer to put his team up 110-109 with 0.3 seconds left. And here's the crazy thing, Victoria. That's their first and only lead all game.
Right. What?
Their first and only lead all game. It reminded me when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow, that really is the only time they led during this game. It reminded me of Game 1 of the Caps and Carolina second round series of the Stanley Cup playoff, where in the second round, Canes won Game 1 2-1 without leading.
Mm-hmm.
They never held a lead in that game. If you even go back to the series in 2019 between the Canes and the Caps, Canes had to go on the road for 4 of those 7 games. In those 4 games in Washington, they led for a total of 0 seconds in 4 games on the road. Led for 0 seconds combined, yet still won that series.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite stat of all time. But we saw that last night again from Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton, by the way, I saw the stat earlier today. I'm going to credit ESPN on it. I'm sure other people had it before, but that's where I saw it first. He is not only 4 of 4 on shots in the final 5 seconds of the game, where that shot will either tie the game or take the lead for the team. 4 of 4. Perfect. The rest of the league in those situations, Victoria, 3 of 16.
Wow.
That 3 of 16 for everyone else.
Yeah.
He's 4 of 4 in those situations.
Right, yeah.
And you can say, well, he got a lucky bounce, against the Knicks in, Game 1. Okay, it went in, right? Last time I checked, ball went through the hoop. Tyrese Halliburton talked after the game about the resiliency of the team.
Through the course of the game, it kept getting, it felt like it could get ugly. Who knows where this game is heading. I thought we did a great job of just walking them down. When it gets to 15, you can panic, or you can talk about how do we get it to 10, how do we get it to 5, and from there. So, I think all series, that's what we've preached as a group is, when we get down big, let's just find a way to incrementally get it down. And it was at 15, and we got it to 8 pretty fast, and that gave us confidence. Kept getting stops, Miles and Andrew made big play after big play down the stretch. Miles got a wide open look on the wing, missed that one, but we just stuck with it. Andrew was huge down the stretch, and we got a big stop there, and they got a lot of confidence in me to make that shot. So I don't know what you say about it. I just know that this group is a resilient group, and we don't give up till it's 0.
So I thought he mentioned Tyrese Halliburton there from the Pacers, just mentioned about how they got down 15. I thought early in the fourth quarter, when the Oklahoma City Thunder, off of a steal on an easy breakaway dunk, made it 15 with just under 10 minutes to play, I was like, okay, they're going to run away with this one. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Like, okay, they're going to pull away because, in my mind, they're the better team. But he said Indiana hung around. They hung around. It felt like for much of the game watching, it's like, all right, Oklahoma has a 10-point lead. Now it's a 6-point game. Now it's a 9-point win. Or, I'm sorry, 9-point lead. Then it's 12. But they just kind of hung around in that area for the most part. That's why I thought when they extended to 15, all right, Oklahoma City can really run away with this one at home. But Indiana hung around. And part of that was due to a couple of things. One, Indiana's rebounding. Indiana's rebounding edge was 56-39. So we're talking 17 rebounds in favor of Indiana. But where Oklahoma City failed in yesterday's game, in my eyes, I talk about this applies to all sports, when you let teams off the hook. Indiana turned the ball over 25 times.
Oof.
Oklahoma City only turned it over 7.
It's a big difference.
Massive difference.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing, though. Oklahoma City only had 11 points on those 25 turnovers.
Missed opportunity.
When you are given extra possessions like that, got to take advantage of it. If that's 17, 18, you probably win this one going away. And you still actually had your opportunities late in the game as well. About a minute and a half left in the game. I remember writing this down. I was taking some notes during the game. Lou Dort had a block for Oklahoma City right there at the rim. Oklahoma City was up 3 at the time. They were up 108-105. Lou Dort gets a block down the other way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets a layup. That's about a minute 30 left. Makes it 110-105. I was like, you get a big-time defensive play, followed it up by a bucket on the other end. To me, in my eyes, I was like, it's a 4-point swing. To me, I looked at it as a 4-point play because you get the stop at the rim on your own defensive end, and then you go score on offense. So as opposed to it being a 108-107 game, now it's 110-105. 4-point play in my eyes. And then Pascal Siakam gets a block and then a putback on the offensive end. Talking about chip it away. That's about 45 seconds left. Now the lead's cut down to 110-109. And then we get the Tyrese Halliburton shot with 0.3 seconds left. Oklahoma City didn't score after that Lou Dort rejection and the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander layup after the block. They didn't score again after that. They have plenty of chances, obviously, but you got to give Indiana a lot of credit as well. The 15-point fourth quarter lead, that 15-point comeback in the fourth quarter is the largest in the NBA Finals in 50 years.
Wow. It's a long time.
Long time.
Wow.
So kudos to them. But the question is now, how do you adjust? How do you get ready for game 2? And there's always a common denominator. There's always a common factor in these losses. And Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault talked about the common denominator in that Pacers comeback.
The common denominator is them. That's a really good team. Credit them, for not only tonight, but their run. They've had so many games like that have seemed improbable, and they just play with a great spirit. They keep coming. They keep playing. They made plays. They made shots, so they deserve to win by a point. We got to learn from it. There's obviously a lot of things we can clean up, but credit them. They went and got that game.
They did. Got to give them a ton of credit. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was phenomenal. 38 points for Oklahoma City yesterday. He obviously did his part in terms of the scoring and everything. The supporting cast around him obviously needs to elevate their play, but he was obviously phenomenal. Nobody for Indiana scored more than 20 points yesterday.
Wow.
No one actually hit 20 points yesterday for Indiana. It's the dichotomy between the two teams and how they got to where they were. Pretty fascinating to watch. Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the year in the NBA this season, discussed after the game on how they can make sure that they respond well in Game 2.
As much as we can, we just got to treat it like every other game, every other situation we've been in. Yes, we haven't been in this situation, but it doesn't mean our character has to change or what we did last time. It's still basketball, it's still the game of basketball that we grew up playing. The rules don't change just because we're in the finals. So it's like we've been in this situation before. In the other situation, we handled it well. We were better for Game 2, and that's the goal.
If you look at that, what he's talking about, look at Game 1 of their series in the second round against the Denver Nuggets. They lost Game 1 against Denver. They come back with a big win in Game 2. Now, that series eventually got to 7 games. And Oklahoma City obviously is in the finals for a reason. Obviously, they got the win in that series. I think they're going to be okay. I'm not going to sit there and say, what they did in Game 1 is just going to be a testament to what the whole series is going to look like. In my eyes, that's not the case. It's just one. That's the reason why you play a series. But if we get what we saw last night for 6 more games, sign me up.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Sign me up. Something I don't really want to sign up for.
Uh-oh.
Victoria, I'm going to steal a phrase from you.
Okay.
Barf.
Yes.
Barf.
All the barf.
So I'm already exhausted talking about this, and I haven't even mentioned it yet. But Aaron Rodgers is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. That news decided to wait till the show was done yesterday.
And I'm grateful. Just a background on me. I've lived in the state of North Carolina. I initially moved to the state of North Carolina in 2011. I was here for a couple of years and actually went to Wisconsin for a year, then came back to North Carolina. So I loved it here that much. But I was born and raised in Virginia, Victoria. Mm-hmm. I have a father who was born in New York City but grew up in the D.C. area. He's a big Washington Commanders fan.
Yep.
My mother's from Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Little town called Elwood City. Look it up. It's northwest of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Area, Newcastle area for those who may be from Western PA. I grew up, dad, Commanders fan, mother's Steelers fan.
Same.
My grandfather on my mother's side worked in the steel mills of the city.
Yeah, my parents are from Pennsylvania.
See, there you go.
So I get it.
You get it. I was told either you're a Steeler fan or you're not part of this family by both grandfather and uncles.
Yep.
I was a young kid trying to decide what path am I going to take here? Mm-hmm. Do I follow Dad and his fandom for the Commanders, or I follow Mom and Grandpa and all for the Steelers fandom? My dad took me to an NFL game in 1993. I was 9 years old. Took me to I'm sorry, I wasn't that old. I was 7 years old. Good Lord, aging myself.
All right.
I was born in '86. Get it together. On air math. But I was in elementary school.
Yeah, you were young.
I was young. Took me to a game at old RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. to watch Washington play the New York Jets. The final score of that game, Victoria, 3-0 Jets.
Oh, no.
3-0 Jets.
Talk
you know
about
who
barf.
I wasn't a fan of after that?
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, no.
Washington.
No, thank you.
And then, the year later, visited family in Western Pennsylvania. We actually went to a game at Old Three River Stadium. Pittsburgh taking on Washington. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh got the win. Steelers fan, my Carolina Panthers fans will recognize this name. My uncle got me a Greg Lloyd jersey.
Yeah.
First player I ever fell in love with was Greg Lloyd.
Yeah.
Former Carolina
Makes
Panther.
sense. Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I'm already exhausted of Aaron Rodgers being on the Steelers,
Already
okay?
over
Already
it.
done with it. I'm just going to go ahead and play one soundbite here. Ryan Clark on the Aaron Rodgers signing being, mid.
This is the worst case scenario for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. It continues to keep you mired in mediocrity. Will this team be better? Have they gotten better in the quarterback room? Absolutely. Will they contend for that championship that Pittsburgh Steelers people and fans and organization think is the standard? No, they won't. 5 years from when both of these men retire, one of them will give the most motivational Hall of Fame speech we've ever heard. Another will probably give the most interesting, and it won't mean anything. They'll be fighting for a wild card spot. They'll probably be home week 1 of the playoffs and again be looking for a franchise quarterback. If you told me you're going to pair one of this era's greatest coaches with one of this era's greatest quarterbacks, I'd expect greatness. That is not what we'll get. Maybe 6 years ago, but not now.
Yep, spot on.
Yikes.
Spot on.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? The betting odds for one of the major sports books out there. The betting odds before Aaron Rodgers signed with Pittsburgh for the Steelers to win the Super Bowl was plus 4,500. So if you bet $100 on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl this upcoming season and they go on to win it, not only do you get your stake back, but you also get $4,500.
Yeah.
So anyway, after Aaron Rodgers signed, Victoria, or agreed to the contract, you know what the odds were?
Oh, boy.
Plus 4,500. They didn't move.
What?
It didn't even budge.
What?
Exactly.
What?
Exactly.
I think they're just waiting. They
You know
must be
what?
waiting for preseason or something. I don't know.
Anyway, so that's it. I'm like, I'm already done.
Yeah.
I'm already done.
No, I mean, yeah. I just, there's no words, but there's all the words.
Yeah. It's just.
I feel bad for Steelers fans because, like I said, my family's from Pennsylvania. I'm not born and raised here, so I got the Panthers.
Yeah.
But I hear their like agony every year.
Which
so.
I've fallen in love with the Panthers having lived in the state. Because the first year that I lived here was Cam Newton's rookie season. I remember I was living down in Fayetteville, and I remember sitting in my apartment watching him that very first game. If I remember correctly, they're at Arizona, and he puts up over 400 yards passing and everything. I just went, oh, this is different. This is fun. And I always have followed, just because I followed the NFL in general, so I always, keep tabs on all the other teams around. But yeah, that was something special. So I've, covering the team and following the team for so many years. Obviously, you want them to win, but
they're hard to love sometimes. So.
I'm done talking about that.
Just like the Steelers will be this year.
God, already done. Already done. It's already insufferable. Let's move on. University of North Carolina. By the way, they're in the bottom of the first inning taking on Arizona. Arizona actually did get a run across the plate there in the top of the first inning, but North Carolina's up at the plate. They actually have a runner on first, no one out, so leadoff runner was on. So let's see if Carolina can bounce back. They're playing out there at Boshamer Stadium out there in Chapel Hill.
There you go.
Maybe Bill Belichick can bring some of his new recruits by. He got a couple of guys local. So here in the state of North Carolina, Bill Belichick got commitments from a couple from brothers from Rollsville High School, Xavion Griffin-Haynes and Jaden Griffin-Haynes. Xavion is a 4-star recruit. Jaden is a 3-star recruit. But they both go to Rollsville High School and going into their final year of school at Rollsville. Rollsville High School, for those who, depending on where you're listening, is just outside of Raleigh.
Have to drive by it every day.
That you do. So one thing that was an issue under the Larry Fedora era of North Carolina was the lack of in-state recruiting for UNC. That was the biggest issue with Fedora. He just didn't really have the relationships with the high school coaches. Now, Mac Brown did a phenomenal job of repairing those relationships. And Xavion Griffin-Haynes was actually a commit to Mac Brown in North Carolina initially, but then Mac Brown got let go. He opened up his recruitment, which he's entitled to do. Hey, you know what? The team, the coach that I committed to is no longer there. I'm going to open up my options and see what's available. And then he decided to go ahead and recommit back to North Carolina and head coach Bill Belichick. Xavion Griffin-Haynes, this is actually audio courtesy of our friends over at High School OT, Joel Bryan and Evan Moesta. Audio courtesy of them. This is Xavion Griffin-Haynes on the process UNC had of making him feel like a priority.
So as soon as Bill got in the office, he came to see me. I was his first out, and we talked about a lot of things about the future for me. About if I end up going to UNC, I ended up going to UNC. So just about the ability that I have for the program, and just they just kept recruiting me, doing a good job recruiting me. Saying on top of me, I was like the number one, player on the board. So they kept recruiting me and coming for me hard.
And then his brother, Jaden Griffin-Haynes, also talked about UNC's process of recruiting him and his decision to go to Chapel Hill.
Being his first stop, it showed that he really wanted us. He told us he wanted us, and he told us he wanted us to impact the program. So I think that's just the biggest thing with him, coming in and then playing hard, playing to my ability.
Getting local recruits and talented recruits in your state is vital. I don't care if you are Duke, Carolina, State, Wake, App, ECU, Charlotte, heck, Davidson. Shout out to the Wildcats. Doesn't matter who you are. You have to, as best as you can, try and keep the top players from the state of North Carolina in the state of North Carolina. Now, Bill Belichick at his introductory press conference talked about being a national brand. Remember, he was asked about it by, I think, of our good friend Chris Lee over at WRAL. Was asked about if he is going to not only recruit in-state, but also reach out on a national level. And they view themselves as North Carolina as a national brand for football. That's how they view themselves. And it's okay to have that view of yourself. UNC is a national name. Now, it's not necessarily known that on the football scale, but it is known universally. Like, you see the UNC logo, you see the color, you're like, okay, yeah, North Carolina. Yeah, you want to try and get the best players across the country to come to Chapel Hill, but you also can't neglect the guys that are already in your state. And I think this is a big-time thing for Bill Belichick, getting guys in state. Again, a 4-star recruit and a 3-star recruit that are 45 minutes down the road. That's big. That's big. That's a good thing. I don't care where the top guys in the state go, as long as they stay in state. That's how I view it. There's a lot of great players. I mean, if you actually look at statistically the players drafted into the NFL, you know what the 7th highest state that produces NFL talent is? It's North Carolina.
Yes.
North Carolina. One, like the top ones being like Florida, Texas, and Georgia.
Makes sense.
And then there's California, Louisiana, Ohio. Then it's North Carolina. Like the talent is here. So the fact that the state of North Carolina is producing this much NFL talent, our college football teams should be better. But you have to keep them in state. I mean, just look at a couple of the guys that were drafted in the first round this year. Jalen Walker goes 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. James Pierce goes 26 to the Falcons. James Pierce from Charlotte, Chambers High School. Jalen Walker, Salisbury, North Carolina. Jalen Walker goes to Georgia. James Pierce goes to Tennessee. The top high school recruit in the entire country for this upcoming year is a quarterback from Grimsley High School out in Greensboro. He's committed to Tennessee. Keep those guys in state. I don't care where they go. State, Carolina, Duke, Wake, App, ECU, Charlotte. Doesn't matter. Go to Gardner-Webb. Don't care. Keep them in state. All right, real quick update. Speaking of North Carolina here, real fast. Bottom of the first inning. Looks like we have ourselves. Whoa, that's gone. North Carolina was down 1-0 after the top of the first inning. They come to bat here in the bottom of the first. They push 2 runs across the plate, and then now we have a Hunter Stokely home run. Crush that thing to right field. It's 5-1 North Carolina in the bottom of the first.
Wow.
Nobody out. A 394-foot home run.
Nice.
Nobody out.
Ha!
Nobody even out.
So much potential.
It's like, here, we'll spot you one.
Or 5.
And then, for just a 3-run bomb.
Nice.
Take that. I want as many ACC schools as possible to go on to the Omaha. They have the potential to have 4. There's 5 teams in the Super Regional, but Louisville and Miami are playing each other in the Super Regional. So one's obviously going to not make it, but at least one's guaranteed to go in. Duke, Carolina, Florida State are the other teams in the Super Regionals. Duke and Carolina both hosting. Let's see if I want all the ACC teams to go to Omaha. I want them all to go.
Fun. I would like that.
It looks like Arizona's already panicking. Like, all right, we got to get the bullpen up and going. Yeah, because your starter's getting shelled right now. Doesn't he? Like, he gives up a 394-foot blast, and now he falls behind 2-0 on the next batter. Hasn't even gotten an out yet. Your earned run average, the limit does not exist. Full Mean Girls here. The limit does not exist.
Oh, yeah. Guys in the dugout are like, what?
Panicking right now.
First inning? What?
I'm feeling good. We got to run across the plate. Nah, take that.
Right.
Other things to enjoy this weekend. Obviously, there's so much sports that's going on right now. Obviously, there's the NBA Finals. We have the College World Series, the Super Regionals taking place, the Women's College World Series. They have a Game 3 coming up between Texas and Texas Tech as well. And then tonight, we have Stanley Cup Final Game number 2.
Yes.
Real quick, NHL note. We'll dive into this a little bit later on. Dallas Stars head coach Pete DeBoer, who threw his goalie under the bus after that loss against the Edmonton Oilers in Game 5 the other day in the Western Conference Final.
Great decision.
Relieved of his duties.
Shocking.
Dallas head coach. Now, he went to 3 straight Western Conference Final. 3 straight. But I will say this. As a head coach, if you throw your franchise goalie under the bus post-game like he did, there's no way you can walk into a locker room and have the respect of your players after that. There's no way you can do it. But Game 2 tonight, sit back, enjoy. I hope it's just as good as Game 1 was. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Will Game 2 of the NBA Finals be as fun as Game number 1? We'll talk to our good friend Brenden Whitted. Little NBA Finals action next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
Leon Draisaitl has the first goal of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2.
Ekholm ties the game.
Puck drop at 8.
Draisaitl scores! Overtime game winner with just 31 seconds remaining.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It's Friday, right? Major League Baseball and FanDuel. Oh, what a couple. And it's first inning Friday on FanDuel. So, how about runs in the first inning? Yes or no? Will anybody score in the game's first frame? Well, the Mets are in Colorado, and Colorado's given up runs like they're trying to do that. So, yeah, the Mets are going to score in the first inning. And every first inning Friday, you can expect a special reward, a profit boost, a no-sweat bet. So come on back. Take another swing. Go to FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. You'll be ready for first pitch on First Inning Fridays with FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. The men's French Open semifinals taking center stage here on day 13. Defending champ Carlos Alcaraz is on to Sunday's men's final. After dropping the first set, the 22-year-old Spaniard came back to take the next 2 before 8th-seeded Italian Lorenzo Musetti was forced to retire in the 4th set with a leg injury. Alcaraz will face the winner of today's second semifinal between world number 1 Jannik Sinner and 24-time Grand Slam champ and 7-time finalist Novak Djokovic.
It's no secret. I mean, it's been like that for years, but especially now, it's all about Grand Slams for me, trying to, raise the level and play my best tennis at this 4 tournaments, and this is what I've been managing to do.
Djokovic and Sinner split their 8 meetings, but the Italian has dominated of late, winning 4 of the last 5 matches. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This is Adam Gold.
While I'm watching Colombia-Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
That was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show.
I'm curious to see if we're going to get another game in this series like we had in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. And to talk a little NBA Finals, being joined by one of my good friends, Brenden Whitted, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Brenden, last night when I was watching the game, and I sent you a message, hey, I want to talk NBA Finals with you. And I was actually thinking, watching the game, I was like, Tyrese Halliburton's been kind of quiet. Yeah. Like, fourth quarter, I thought he really was. Like, the usage rate and everything just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And then he does he did it again, Brenden. He did it again. I can't make sense of it.
He did it again. And, I think the greatest trick the Pacers have pulled is that I believe now, right? Like everybody on that team believes, regardless of how much they're down. They're down about 15 points in the middle of that fourth quarter, man. Like, that's you're supposed to be cooked in an NBA Finals game.
Yeah.
And at no point did I think that they were going away the white flag, and never thought Carlisle was going to be like, all right, we'll go lose another day. Like, they're not. They took home court advantage in Game 1, right? They're the underdogs in this entire series. So the idea of them winning in OKC, legitimately, at least in these first two games, didn't even occur to me. But the fact that they have consistently, he dropped Milwaukee off in last-second fashion. You know what he did to New York. He did it to Cleveland. He just keeps doing it, and he just has ascended. And I don't know if it was his time with the Olympics, because I've been going over and over in my head, like, what changed?
Yeah.
Right? I knew Halliburton was good last year. I did. And the whole overrated thing, I've heard more about people complaining about him getting overrated than I ever did about the initial vote of him being overrated. But athletes got to have these things that motivate them.
Of course.
But the fact that he had these moments last postseason where he just couldn't quite seem, when they needed a bucket, he couldn't quite seem to do it. I don't know if it was the offseason with the guys with stuff like Curry and Bron and just being around them consistently and seeing like, hey, I can hang with this. I'm here now. But he has been so much better in these clutch situations. But it's more than him, though, right? They had 6 guys in double figures last night.
Yeah,
like they played 9 or 10 guys in the game. Like, this is the most. I think this is the most well balanced team I've seen in the finals in a really, really long time. Nembhard took a step back 3 down 6 or 8 with 2 minutes left.
Banks it
and did it and knocked it down. And was cool with it. Like, everybody has the ultimate green light. Everybody is confident in what they do. I'm just really, really surprised. I'm impressed. Rick Carlisle did a masterful job late in that game. Man, last night was so much fun.
It really was. I hope we get 6 more of those. That voice you just heard, Brenden Whitted. Give him a follow on X, HU Cosell. Check out all the work that he does. And he's a basketball mind. I love talking basketball with Brenden. To me, Brenden, also watching that game, I thought there were just too many empty possessions for Oklahoma City. I thought they did a really good job of getting in the paint. One of the biggest things I look for in basketball is paint touches. Even if you love shooting threes, you still got to get in the paint in some way, shape, or form. Get in the paint, kick out, whatever it might be. I just thought that Oklahoma City let too many possessions go based on how many turnovers Indiana had. Only 11 points off 25 Indiana turnovers. In my mind, Oklahoma City kind of let them off the hook in a way.
A lot of those were dead ball turnovers, and meaning that the ball went out of bounds and then they had to inbound it. So it's a little bit different from live ball turnovers, which are attacking transition. Everybody's transition defense is worse than their set defense across the board, no matter how good. But the other thing that saved the Pacers, and I agree with you, they let them off the mat a little bit in that first half. They were up 12 in that first half. Felt like it should have been around 20. one, OKC missed a lot of open three-pointers.
They did.
They had a lot of good process, a lot of good offense that just resulted in some bad misses. And it's not that they shot poorly from three. I think they were 11 to 30. So that's around 33, 36%, somewhere in there. That's still a very, very good percentage for you, or a solid percentage for you. It's just that they got beat by 21 behind the arc. OKC was 18 to 39. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that helps a lot. They got beat by 16 or 17 on the rebounds. That hurts a lot. So OKC is now it's one and done. So if you're not making it, you're probably not getting an offensive rebound either. They were able to keep the Pacers out of transition. I think the Pacers won by 1 point in fast break points. They were able to keep them out of transition. But those three-pointers, those rebounds kept them within striking distance so that you could have that kind of last-second miraculous finish.
Brenden Whitted joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. You mentioned a little bit ago about the balance of Indiana's roster. And I think we might see – we always see it in sports, sometimes an overcorrection. You see a couple teams make a final, win a championship. Everyone wants to try and model that in some way, shape, or form. And I bring this up because I know here in North Carolina, we're looking at the Carolina Hurricanes and how they're building their roster. It's this obviously different sport, but philosophies can be similar. You see Oklahoma City got a really good young player like Gilgeous-Alexander and then acquired all this draft capital and drafted all these great players, and they built the team that way. Indiana, similar. They got a couple really good young players, Halliburton being one of them, and they've drafted really well around these guys, and that's how they built the roster and then supplemented with free agents, as opposed to let's just spend all this money and go in on 3 or 4 guys. Hello, Phoenix Suns. So I'm wondering if we're going to start to see that overcorrection, because I look at the Carolina Hurricanes and I see they have that same kind of trajectory of what Indiana and Oklahoma City are doing. Now they can maybe go and pay a free agent because they built their core up. Do you see the NBA overcorrecting itself to follow the model of what Oklahoma City and Indiana have done to build their teams for the future?
Well, one, shout out Hurricanes. Gave me a hell of a NHL postseason experience. That really locked me in. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to think that you're going to be able to, you look at it through the lens of the Hurricanes. I look at it through the lens of the Hornets.
Okay.
Right? Another small market team.
Fair.
None of those guys are going to, OKC is never really going to be a free agent destination. They have had big names like Paul George in the past, but the other big names, Russ, KD, those were guys that they drafted. The Pacers drafted well around Halliburton, who they got in a trade for Sabonis with Sacramento, and then Siakam, who came down from Toronto. But those are their two best guys. And then, as you mentioned, they built around them. You have to have the stars as anchors, right? You can do a lot of good drafting. Now, OKC is a little bit different because they had that's like a treasure trove of draft picks that they had. Yeah. They turned, I mentioned Paul George, they turned him into what essentially is SGA and a handful of other guys on the roster. But they drafted so well. It's almost an outlier for how well they put that team together. Maybe you can replicate what Indiana did, but because of the how well OKC drafted and how many draft picks, we hear a lot of times about draft picks moving here or there, and then you go back and look at who actually got selected, and it's usually okay, he was there with the team for a couple years, didn't really make a big deal, and then he went off into another trade. OKC has consistently been able to mine talent. And it's not even guys that they drafted. It's the identification of talent. Isaiah Joe, who came into came to the league as a spot-up shooter, was one of the best spot-up shooters in his draft class. And he was with 76 for a while. I think he bounced around a little bit more. And they've got him, and now he's creating off the dribble. He's just a completely different player than the guy that entered into the league. So their ability to identify talent either through the draft or even in the free agency is something pretty special. And that's what you have to have. I started this with, I look at this through the Hornets, the spectrum of the Hornets. Mm-hmm. Where is that? Yeah. Where are the guys that they have consistently drafted and developed, right? Because I look at LaMelo, and I don't think that he's that different from Halliburton. He's not as healthy as Halliburton. They went back to back in the draft. But if you look at their styles of play, both guys that are big three-point shooters, like to pass the ball, get the ball moving, increase in pace, they're not that dissimilar. The difference has been his health, obviously. But who's the guy you're going to pair with LaMelo? Who's the guy, whether it's through trade, through the draft, who is that other guy? They got Siakam, who was huge for them last night. Carlisle moved him to center at one point, had a huge block at SGA at the rim. They were able to get up and down a little bit more, create a little bit more space. those are the guys you have to hit on. And at some point, the Hornets just haven't consistently hit on that. And it's not going to ever matter who's head coach, who's whomever, if you're not being able to not only identify talent, but keep that talent in the building.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's Brenden Whitted. Give him a follow at HU Cosell. Real quick, final question, 30 seconds here, Brenden. I know Indiana obviously took game number 1. OKC come back and win this series? Or is it Indiana's to take now?
I still think it's OKC. As I mentioned, they missed a lot of open three-pointers. Those are shots that they're going to get again, and those are shots that they're going to make. They have to have a more consistent effort from J-Dub. SGA went for 38 on some pretty steady shooting. Mm-hmm. He was really, really inefficient. They have to have more from him because it can't all be on the MVP.
That's Brenden Whitted. He's the basketball mind at HU Cosell. Brenden, I love you, my man. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Anytime, bro.
Again, that's Brenden Whitted joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. And yeah, I mentioned the Canes. He mentioned the Hornets. Again, it's about how you build your roster, how you build your teams, and different markets have different styles because not every athlete wants to play in a quote-unquote smaller, mid-sized market. Some of them want to go play in big markets. It's just human nature. That's fine. It's a choice. It's going to be interesting to see what the Hornets do this offseason, how they draft. It's interesting to see with all the draft capital what the Carolina Hurricanes do as well. Speaking of Carolina Hurricanes and hockey, NHL, Stanley Cup Final Game 2 is tonight.
Yep.
Might see a couple one-timers, Victoria. Let's tee up some one-timers of our own next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy, you're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
As public power customers, we experience fewer outages and faster restoration than customers of other electric providers. But the benefits of having a locally owned electric system go far beyond unbeaten reliability. Our local public power employees support our community, providing electric hookups for events, installing and maintaining ballpark lights, holiday lights, traffic lights, street lights, and more. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's the value of public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
I'm really excited about next season, considering this was supposed to be a rebuild year. But with these new guys, like Bradley Nadeau, we've got Nikishin coming eventually. If we've got Hall still here, Jackson Blake, I mean, there's so much promise and potential. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, and just wait till the big kid gets ready to play.
The Adam Gold Show.
5-1 the score in favor of North Carolina over Arizona. Game 1 of the Super Regionals right now.
Nice.
Arizona actually had bases loaded in the top of the second. Bases loaded, 1 out. Got an inning-ending double play, did North Carolina, to get out of that in the top of the second inning. That's
Good
massive.
for them.
Massive. And we actually just had a triple hit here by North Carolina. So they got runner in scoring position already here in the bottom of the second with that 5-1 lead. I think that double play there in the top of the second inning is going to be massive.
Yes.
Because if they don't turn that double play, obviously a run scores, the inning continues. Anyway, it's been pretty fascinating to watch this so far. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria Vodenecker producing the show as always. Let's go ahead and get to some one-timers.
All right.
What do we got, V?
So, kicking things off, you can add us at Twitter, and I will see your thing if you add me on Twitter or the YouTube stream. And first up, we do have one from the YouTube stream. How do you feel about offer sheeting Nyes and Bouchard plus signing Bennett and Marner?
Let's see. Matthew Nyes from Toronto. Evan Bouchard, the defenseman from Edmonton. I do not see a situation where you can't do both. So here's the thing with offer sheets. Offer sheets, if you sign a player to an offer sheet, depending on the value of the average annual value of the contract, you have to give draft compensation to the team for what you signed that player for. So offer sheets are for players that are restricted free agents. Now, you can sign a player to an offer sheet. The team then has the opportunity to match that offer. Just look at what Sebastian Aho did a few years ago, 6 years ago. The Montreal Canadiens signed him to an offer sheet. Carolina matched it. Now, with Jesperi Kotkaniemi that Carolina signed from Montreal on an offer sheet, the Carolina Hurricanes had to give draft compensation to Montreal in order to complete that signing because Montreal didn't match the offer. Here's the kicker. When it comes to these offer sheets, you have to, the draft compensation that goes to the other team has to be your draft picks. They can't be draft picks that you've acquired from other teams. They have to be yours. So here's something that is actually going to hold back the Carolina Hurricanes from potentially making offer sheet signings this offseason. They don't have their third round pick in 2026. So if you sign someone to an offer sheet this offseason, the draft compensation comes from the next draft. So draft compensation would come from 2026. For example, if you wanted to sign Matthew Nyes, who I'm a big Matty Nyes fan, 6'2", 6'3", 220 plus pounds, a guy that scores in front of the net.
He's good.
He's a really good player from Toronto. He's like 22, 23 years old. Really good player. Someone that is what the Carolina Hurricanes need. The guy that can score up front, size, that can skate really well, and play on the top line. Carolina cannot offer, let's say they wanted to give Matthew Nyes 7-year deal, at $8 million a year. They can't do that because you would have to have their own third-round pick. Carolina's third-round pick in 2026 is owned by the Washington Capitals. That was part of the Evgeny Kuznetsov trade. So you would have to get your third-round pick back from Washington. So I don't know if that's, hey, we're going to trade you the third-round pick that we have from Dallas, and we're going to kick in a sixth-round pick so we can swap and get our own third-round pick back. That's the only way you could really do it. The only way they could sign Matthew Nyes to an offer sheet right now that would actually get him to sign, you would have to offer him over $11.7 million a year on the contract. Because that would be 4 first-round picks of compensation, which the Canes can have because they have their own first-round picks for the next 4 years. But they couldn't sign Matthew Nyes to 7 years at $8 million a year. They can't afford to do it because they don't have their own third-round pick. So depending on the value of the contract, the compensation adjusts. But because they don't have their own third-round pick, they can't make an offer sheet signing at one that they want to make. The only offer sheet signings they could do is over $11.7 million a year, like I just mentioned. Or they can go somewhere in the range of 2.34 to 4.68. That's it. They can't go in the $4.6 to $7 million range. They can't be in the $7 to $9.3 million range. They can't be in the $9.3 to $11.7 million range because they don't have their own third-round pick in 2026. That is actually holding them back. You would have to go get that back from Washington. That's just, I know it's a convoluted way of explaining all those things, but that's the one thing that's really holding him back. If you can get your third-round pick in 2026 back from the Washington Capitals, then you can offer sheet one of these guys. You can only really do one, though. That's the kicker. You can't do both. But speaking of Bennett and Marner, I don't think Bennett leaves Florida. Simple as that. I just don't think Bennett leaves Florida. But we spoke about it yesterday. It's on the YouTube channel about Sam Bennett, about what I think that type of player can bring to the Canes, that toughness, as well as postseason production. That's what you want to see. I know it's a long answer on a one-timer, but there it is.
Well, moving on to another team that the Canes are familiar with. We just got news about head coach for the Dallas Stars, Pete DeBoer, now no longer being the Dallas Stars head coach.
You could say now former head coach.
Former head coach. And so is there another NHL head coach that you could see losing their job before next season's start? Who and why?
Before next season, I don't see anyone losing their job because I think it would have happened already. Because Pittsburgh filled their position, Boston just filled their position. I don't see anyone else that gets let go between now and the end of now and the start of next season. I don't see it happening. I don't think, unless Knobloch decides to retire or Paul Maurice decides to retire after this season, Knobloch being the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers and Maurice being the head coach of the Florida Panthers. Unless those guys retire, I don't see any other jobs. Between now and the beginning of the season, I don't see anything opening up, no. But we know they're going to open up during the season. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Moving on to the NFL. Oh. So I know we've already talked about Mr. Aaron Rodgers now being with the Steelers. Could Mike Tomlin's job potentially be on the line if the Steelers have an unsuccessful season?
Define unsuccessful? That's what I'm curious. What's considered unsuccessful?
I would say not better than last season.
I mean, yeah, which has been the consistent thing for them is getting to the playoffs and then losing in the first round. I could see it, but knowing Pittsburgh's history, I don't see it happening. Just knowing because of the consistency. Because keep this in mind about the Steelers. Remember Bill Cowher, their old head coach, former NC State guy? Bill Cowher actually had 3 straight years where he went 8-8. 3 straight 500 seasons. And they still held on to him. And they eventually came back and won a Super Bowl eventually. I think Pittsburgh, they are just known for their consistency of just sticking with guys. I think the biggest problem, obviously for their franchise, is can you find a quarterback? They're kind of in quarterback purgatory where they haven't been bad enough to be drafting high to take one, but they also don't have that high enough draft pick where you can easily move up to take a guy. And when you're constantly picking at like 20, 21, 22, 23, it's a lot to give up to move up to the top 10 to draft a QB. So the kind of that quarterback purgatory, they didn't have to deal with it from 04 to 2021 or 2020. Like for 16, 17 years, they didn't have to worry about quarterback because they had Ben Roethlisberger. Now they tried it with Kenny Pickett, then it's been, a revolving door of people since then. But I don't see it happening because the roster really hasn't been super great. He can get them to a certain point, but the roster is only going to take them so far. The roster is not as great as a lot of people think, despite still getting in the playoffs on a consistent level. It's the Adam Gold Show. By the way, North Carolina hit a dinger in the bottom of the second. They got robbed of another one just now, but it's 8-1 UNC going into the top of the third inning. What can other teams learn about what we saw last night in Game 1 of the NBA playoffs? Next on the Adam Gold Show.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
The Indiana Pacers will head to the NBA Finals.
The Stanley Cup Finals and the College World Series.
And you can send it to the Supers. Carolina advances out of the Chapel Hill Regional.
The U.S. Open.
And strokes the putt up the hill into the middle. 2 times a U.S. Open champion, Bryce DeChambeau.
Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Let's move. We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
You think rush hour karting is just about racing? Think again. At our Morrisville and Garner locations, you're stepping into a world of high-speed go-karts, axe throwing, golf and racing simulators, arcade challenges, and a full-service kitchen serving up serious flavor. It's where corporate events turn into bonding moments and friend nights turn legendary. This isn't just entertainment, it's serious adult fun. Visit rhkfun.com to plan your experience today.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole!
That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I think what they need to do is say, all right, the SEC, Big Ten, if you think you're better and your conferences are deeper, that's fine. Now let's go ahead and put in the rules that there's some type of a formula that really showcases strength of schedule. And go, hey, you know what? The Big 12 and ACC, top to bottom, you may not have as many good teams as the SEC or Big Ten. Play a couple of really good non-conference games to bump up their strength of schedule, and then we're all kind of comparing the same thing to each other.
I don't know if you saw this, Victoria, but Ryan Day, the Ohio State football coach, national champion, says that they expand the playoff to 16, that there should be 4 automatic bids already to the Big Ten. I'm like, no.
No.
Or no.
Let's not.
Or just not. Or just play the games in the regular season and go win.
Earn them.
Exactly.
I mean,
earn them. That's the whole thing about sports, right? That's why they have a scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
You earn it.
It's typically how it works.
Generally. No, earned a win last night. Indiana Pacers. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria, producer of the show, as always. By the way, happy National Donut Day.
I know.
Go enjoy a donut here, folks.
We didn't get to one-timer that I had made that I was excited for, but I think it might come up in the show just organically.
Okay, that's fair. That's fine. We'll get to it. But talking about wins, again, last night, the Indiana Pacers get a last-second win. 0.3 seconds left. Tyrese Halliburton hits a 21-footer. Gives the Indiana Pacers a 110-109 win on the road in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And what he's been able to do this postseason in the final 5 seconds of games is pretty remarkable. So in the final 5 seconds of either regulation or overtime, this postseason alone, the final 5 seconds on shot attempts to either tie the game or take the lead, Tyrese Halliburton is 4 of 4. That's stupid. Like, it's insane.
Odds.
We can think about, like, no way, perfect from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard enough to make one, because you look at the rest of the NBA, they're 3 of 16 in those same situations. He's ridiculous. 4 of 4. The rest of the league this postseason, just 3 of 16 in those situations. He's 4 of 4.
He outdid them with less opportunity, too.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's like, give me the rock, coach. Yeah. So I was looking at last night's game. And when I watch games, and I know I'm going to talk about them on air, whether it's a hockey game, football game, different things like that, I always like to just take notes of just moments that stand out in my head. 15-point lead in the fourth quarter for Oklahoma City with just under 10 minutes to go. And I thought to myself, like, all right, Oklahoma City, they'd always have maintained the lead throughout the game. The only time that Indiana led was that shot by Halliburton with 0.3 seconds left. That's the only time they led the whole game. But when they took that 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, it's about 10 minutes ago, I was like, okay, this is, you always hear in sports having that killer instinct. Like, okay, where's the dagger? Put teams away when you have the opportunity. And Oklahoma City didn't do that last night. And also, you got to give credit to Indiana, obviously, as well. They chipped away. They out-rebounded Oklahoma City. They shot better from 3 than Oklahoma City. So you have to give credit where credit is certainly due. But there was a moment, I thought, late in the game that really, I thought, in my eyes, would have sealed it for Oklahoma City. With about 90 seconds left, Lou Dort plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder, comes up on the defensive end, gets a block right there at the rim. Then immediately goes the Oklahoma City Thunder go down the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets a bucket soon right after that. So again, we're talking a minute 30 left, roughly around that, maybe a little bit less. But as opposed to being up 108-107, if that layup goes in for Indiana, Oklahoma City is now up 110-105. Again, with 90 seconds to go. They don't score again the rest of the way. They don't score again. Chet Holmgren's missed some shots late in the game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was phenomenal, 38 points, but he himself even had a look late in the game, just didn't capitalize. And then even go back to the first half of the game. We talked to our good friend Brenden Whitted about this just a little bit ago, and you'll hear that conversation again up a little bit later on, about how in the first half, Oklahoma City probably should have been up by 20. Instead, they were up by 12. We have seen too often in sports teams let up. I don't know, it's a human nature thing. We see it happen so often. It still boggles my mind. But we see sometimes teams let up. I'm not saying Oklahoma City did that yesterday, but when teams get a lead, they almost feel like they have to protect it. So in my mind, when I say protect, I feel like I have to put up shields. I put up walls. Again, I protect myself. As opposed to, hey, you have the advantage, attack even stronger. Not get reckless, but attack even more. I used to coach college lacrosse. I used to tell this to my team all the time. I said, just because you have a lead doesn't mean you're holding anything precious. Now, obviously, I know there's certain situations where you want to hold on to the ball and, take the air out, whatever it is that you want to do. But we saw, go back to the Final Four. Duke against Houston last year. Duke had that big lead in the second half, and Houston chipped away. I think the biggest issue, not only for Duke, was they had the trouble inbounding the basketball and all that stuff, but on the offensive end, they kind of took the air out of the ball. They slowed things down. To me, you have to continue to stay aggressive, and that's how you build your lead. That's how you put pressure on another team. You don't give them an inch. Tie it back here to the state of North Carolina. The Carolina Hurricanes, when they get a lead, generally, they lock you down. Florida Panthers, generally, when they have a lead, they lock you down. Now, obviously, there's always an exception. You're not always going to win every single time. You might be doing all the right things, but sometimes things just don't bounce your way. But at least you go out playing your game. I hope to see from younger players, younger athletes that watch these games, is that there is a difference between skill and mentality. And that is the biggest difference that separates great players from championship players. You and I, Victoria, had a long conversation about Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers yesterday. It's not just his skill, it's his mindset that you need to win in the postseason. Now, is he a perfect player? No, he's not. I'd love, by the way, everyone in the comment section be like, "Oh, he's not that good." I'm like, I'm sorry. Have you seen him play in the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's what you're paying for.
If he was available.
I made the connection between him and Jesperi Kotkaniemi of the Carolina Hurricanes, and I said it's about mentality. The reason why Matthew Tkachuk is such a good player in the postseason, it's mentality. He's not the fastest skater. He's not the most skilled guy. Yeah, obviously he's a great player, and he is a very smart player, but it's about mentality. There's a reason why Brad Marchand, not the biggest guy in the world, has his name written on the cup and has gotten so far in the playoffs so many times in his career. It's about mentality. It's the reason why Martin Nate has never worked in the playoffs. It's a mentality thing. Are you willing to pay the price to get to the dirty areas and do the things that you have to do in order to win in the postseason when it matters the most? Regular season sports are different than postseason. They are. It's just a different mentality. Those kinds of things matter. And I think Oklahoma City is learning how to do this at this time of year. Now, a lot of guys for the Indiana Pacers haven't been in that situation before. Pascal Siakam has. He did that with the Toronto Raptors when they won a championship a few years ago. But we're talking about young players still learning and figuring out right now. As much as we want to talk about Oklahoma City's shortcomings and everything, how they didn't shoot well from three, how they got out-rebounded, how they missed out on all these opportunities they had off of turnovers from Indiana, they still only lost by a shot. It's still only a 1-point game. we're in for a heck of a series. There's a lot that they are going to learn from game 1 to game 2. Now, Indiana has home court advantage. It's totally fine. You win game 2 at home, you go on into Indiana, you take one from there. Now you're back 2-2 at home in a 3-game series. You have home court again. I just hope that Victoria that we have more of what we saw last night.
Yeah.
Just how absolutely fun that was to watch.
The only people that like sweeps and stuff are the fans of the team that does the sweeping.
Exactly.
That's about it.
Exactly. Yeah, if your team's doing the sweeping, you'll love it.
Then you're good. But everybody else wants games like that.
Yes. I want games like that. I want series that are played like that. And again, it's a reason why you play a series. It's the reason why you play a series. Let's not forget, Oklahoma City Thunder lost game 1 to the Denver Nuggets in the second round. Lost game 1 of that series. Came back and won it. Sit back and enjoy the ride, folks. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sit back and enjoy great games when they're out there in front of you. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. A quick update for you all on the College World Series. Super Regional in Chapel Hill. North Carolina hosting Arizona in game 1. It's the bottom of the 3rd inning. The game started an hour ago. And it's still in the bottom of the 3rd. North Carolina's up 8-1. 8-1.
Love it.
I
just love it for our ACC teams.
I want Duke. I want Carolina. I want Florida State to all win their regional. Louisville, Miami, they play each other. Flip a coin. I don't care who advances.
Yeah.
I just want 4 ACC teams again in Omaha.
That would be great.
With half of the field to be Omaha. Yeah, that's right. ACC with 5 teams in the Super Regional. SEC with 4, despite having 14 teams in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, SEC.
Yep.
Stooges.
I know.
I'm sure you guys want some automatic qualifier for how many teams go to Omaha now, don't you, huh? Get out of here. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria, we've been doing a blind ranking. A blind ranking. On the other side, through a blind ranking, what's the best position group for the Carolina Panthers? Mandatory minicamp coming up next week. What is the best position group off a blind ranking? Next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
WakeMed Brain and Spine wants to stop strokes in their tracks. If you think someone is having a stroke, use the acronym B FAST and assess these functions. B, balance. Do they have trouble walking? E, eyes. Are they having trouble seeing? F, face. Does their smile droop? A, arms. Ask the person to raise their arms and notice if one drifts down. S, speech. Is it slurred? And T, time. It is important. Call 911 and get to the hospital as quickly as you can. To check your stroke risk assessment, visit wakemed.org.
It's finally the season for summer vacation, so why not take one on your motorcycle? I'm Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and this is definitely the time where people are thinking of taking that beach trip. But going to the beach on your motorcycle just adds an extra layer of fun. There's nothing between you and the saltwater air, but there's plenty of people in a hurry getting to where they're going. And if you're ever in an accident on your motorcycle that wasn't your fault, whether you're going on vacation or just going to work, make sure to always call Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they understand, they get it. They're riders too, and they know the value of your bike and your gear and the investment that you've made. The insurance company just wants to pay you the least amount possible. At Law Tigers, case evaluations are always free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update sponsored by Kohl's. Make the most of summer with stylish looks from Kohl's and Kohl's.com, where families come first. In what's expected to be a thrilling match, world number 1 Jannik Sinner will be taking on 24-time Grand Slam champ Novak Djokovic in the second men's semifinal match under the lights at Roland Garros. Sinner knows it won't be easy against a legend like Djokovic.
He has shown now in the last period that he is back to the level he plays very, very well. So it's going to be even there quite tactical, but very, very difficult. He is such an experienced player, 24 Grand Slams. I think that says everything.
The winner of this match will play defending champ Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's men's final. Alcaraz outlasted Lorenzo Musetti in this morning's first semi. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
If there's one thing we know about dads, it's that they're not easy to shop for. Enter Kohl's. They've got everything from Nike golf gear to his favorite Levi's jeans. And you can save 20% on other finds like Flex Athleisure and Izod workwear. So if you're not sure what to get Dad for Father's Day, you know where to go. Shop Kohl's now. Select styles. Offer ends June 15th. Some exclusions apply. Coupons do not apply to Nike and Levi's. See store or kohls.com for details.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. Call 800-995-2929. That's 800-995-2929.
This is Adam Gold.
I have so many questions, too. Like, is the mom going to be in the business, too? Are we going to have, like, themed UNC products? She's in it, so.
Interesting ram horn you've got there.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
UNC in a little bit of trouble right now.
Oh, no.
Top of the fourth inning, bases loaded for Arizona, nobody out. And it looks like they might get one here on a sac fly. But North Carolina still leading 8-2 now in the fourth inning. But Arizona been putting some pressure on them. They did get bases loaded in the second inning with one out. Got an inning-ending double play in the second inning, which I think was massive because North Carolina, at the bottom of the second, came back and scored 3 runs of their own to extend their lead from 5-1 to 8-1 off a 3-run homer. So the bats have been plentiful. Opportunities have been plentiful on both sides offensively for both North Carolina and Arizona as the Super Regionals are underway in the College World Series. But North Carolina is the one that's taking advantage of those opportunities so far. Again, they lead 8-2 in the top of the fourth inning. But, hey, you never know. That's the thing about baseball, there's no clock.
Yeah.
There's no clock in baseball. You don't have to worry about a timer. It's all about outs. Don't have to worry about a clock. Just got to worry about outs, which is like a unique thing when it comes to baseball, which is a lot of fun. But that's at Boshemer, right there in North Carolina, right there at Chapel Hill, I should say, which is really cool that both Chapel Hill and Durham hosting Super Regionals, which is really, really cool. Shout out just to both programs. It's fun to see. State of North Carolina's got a ton going on right now. Got a ton going on because we have the Super Regionals that are taking place, like I just mentioned, both Duke and Carolina hosting. We have the soccer tournament, the TST, taking place in Cary at Wake Med Soccer Park. There's a whole bunch going on. Obviously, you got all the minor league baseball we have here in the state, the college summer, like the Coastal Plain League that we have across the state as well. Tons of action, tons of fun going on. If you love sports, you're not short of anything. And believe it or not, next week, Victoria, we actually have mandatory minicamp for the Carolina Panthers next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, mandatory minicamp for the Panthers. Let's do a blind ranking here, Victoria. Let's go ahead going into minicamp next week. We're taking a look. We did offensive players and defensive players over the last couple days. We didn't factor in rookies when it comes to individual groups. Individuals on offense or defense. But let's just look at position groups as a whole. We're going to blind rank the best position groups for the Carolina Panthers. Victoria, let's get this thing started.
Okay.
Again, I don't know who Victoria is going to say, by the way. I don't know what position group.
Nope.
I got a slot of 1 through 5, as opposed to me just going, hey, am I ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It's a blind ranking.
Right. And we don't have to worry about the rookie situation because it's positions.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start things off with the wide receiver.
Oh, okay. This is actually a kind of a tricky one because if you look at upside of the position group, you look at McMillan obviously being the 8th overall pick, Xavier Legette, a first-round pick last year. You know what you're going to get in Adam Thielen. Jalen Coker, I think, is a good young second-year player, I should say. I really like the potential overall of this group, but it's a lot of unproven. Hunter Renfrow coming back, deal with colitis, really derailed his career for a bit. Who knows what you're going to get, if anything, out of him this year. This is a tough one. This is because, again, the potential is there.
Yeah.
But you just don't fully know. And there's some position groups I feel that are out there that we feel like we have more knowledge of who they already are as opposed to potential. So I'm going to go with the receivers at 4.
Okay.
4.
All right. Next up, tight ends.
5. Unfortunately, 5, because it's that same type deal. Tommy Tremble had back surgery a couple weeks ago. Dave Canales earlier this week said that probably not going to be ready for the start of training camp. Hope to see him at the end of the preseason, Tommy Tremble. So now you're really down to second-year tight end Jatavian Sanders, a 4th-round pick from Texas last year, and 5th-round rookie Mitchell Evans. And then a bunch of guys after that. So it's really, really thin position. You would talk about unproven. There's only, of the guys that we're planning on having this season, it's not at 5. It's too thin of a group right now. We talk about truly unproven. Now, I love the upside of both Jatavian Sanders and Mitchell Evans. I love, again, their potential. But right now, it's a lot of unknowns. So I'm going to get to go 5 on this one. Wow, 4 and 5 already off the board.
I know, exactly.
Oh, this is dangerous territory. This is dangerous.
Dangerous. Next up, linebacker.
Now we're talking about just like the off-ball linebackers. Gosh, I got to go 3 here.
I know.
I got to go 3. Gosh, you are killing me, Victoria.
I know. It's tricky.
Yeah, because, I think edge rusher, I guess, is probably its own separate category. Because I know there's obviously the interior defensive line. But if you're looking at just the off-ball linebackers, Jewel is going to be what they call the green dot. So there's always one defensive player on the field that has on his helmet, there's a green dot, like a green sticker on the back of his helmet. And that's to signal that he is the person that is receiving the defensive calls from the defensive coordinator. Much like the quarterback has an earpiece in his helmet, and the offensive play caller is telling him in his rear, Spider 3 wide banana. Same thing is going from the defensive coordinator to, usually it's an off-ball linebacker that's making those defensive calls. It's like, okay, we're inside cover 2, whatever it is. Josie Jewell's going to be that person, which is the most valuable person, not the most valuable, but very valuable person for your defense. And then you have second-year player Trevin Wallace, who stepped in after Shaq Thompson got hurt last year, but then Trevin Wallace had to deal with an injury where he missed the last few games of the year himself last year. Even Jewell dealt with some injury problems himself. And then you also have Christian Roseboom that they signed from L.A., from the Raiders. I'm sorry, from the Rams, my apologies. So they signed Roseboom from the Rams, who's more of a special teams guy. Again, there's really not a lot of depth there. So I have to go 3, the lowest remaining one. So, again, this is a blind ranking.
Right.
Blind ranking. We have off-ball linebackers at 3, the wide receivers at 4, and the tight ends at 5. I don't feel good about this at all. Maybe we can salvage something here, Victoria. What do you have next?
Next up, safeties.
Gosh.
I know. And I picked these beforehand, too.
You are killing me. If I actually had to rank them as a team, you've been giving most of the middle to bottom half. Oh. 2.
Okay.
I can't put them at 1.
Oh, you're gonna love.
Can't put them at 1. Trayvon Merrick, the signing from the Raiders, the safety, was one of their big offseason additions as a whole. Not just for that position, but just as a whole. Latham that they drafted from Ohio State has potential there, but you want to talk about a lot of unproven. Latham, a 4th-round pick. You have Trayvon Merrick, who was known for being up in the box, but Dan Morgan has even said they feel like he can play some off the deep safety as well. You have Damani Richardson, who really showed some potential as an undrafted rookie last year. And they have Nick Scott, who's a special teams guy. That's really about it. I mean, it's one of the more thin position groups out there. So I'll go 2. What number one's left?
Number 1 is just automatically put there, which some people, I don't know, they might think that this is a number 1 position or high up, I guess. Maybe not 1, but kicker.
Who is the kicker? Like, who that's like just special teams as a whole? God, killing me.
Because
you threw kicker in here.
I did.
You threw kicker in here. Who was the kicker?
That was the kicker of the whole thing. That was I wanted to save it for last because that was the kicker. Happy Friday! And it is National Donut Day, too, so it's a fried. Yay. Sorry. It's great. That's your list.
How do you come back from that? How do you come back from that?
List.
I don't.
So, number 1, we've got kicker. Number 2 is the safety. 3 linebacker. 4 wide receiver. 5 tight ends.
I'm never doing a blind ranking ever again with you. You're throwing out kickers out here.
Yesterday, though, was awesome.
Yesterday,
the defense
was
side
good.
was great.
Golly.
It's just too much opportunity with the positions as a whole. I almost threw head coach out there.
No, that. We're talking like just players on the field.
I know. That's why I did it.
Players on the field. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. That's a blind ranking for you. It's a position group, Victoria, that you did not mention.
What's that? Which one?
Running back.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot when you draft a player 8th overall, and you also draft another wide receiver 32nd overall, another first-round pick, and you have those 2 guys on your roster, and Tedero McMillan and Xavier Legette, respectively. Well, of course, you're going to have a lot of attention for the wide receiver group, right? Because you're talking about, all right, what can you do to help Bryce Young? What can you do to give your young pass throwers some great pass catchers, right? What can you do to help elevate him going into year 3? But what have we heard from day 1 from Dave Canales, Victoria, about the offensive philosophy? We're a run-the-ball team. We want to be physical. We want to run the ball.
Stick to the identity.
That's what we were told.
Yes.
There were some moments last year where we thought, like, okay, are you really sticking with it? But again, that's something that Dave Canales is going to have to continue to learn. We look at what they did this offseason. Obviously, they signed Chuba Hubbard to the contract extension last year during the season, so that contract extension is going to be kicking in. But then they go out and get another 1,000-yard rusher in Rico Dowdle from the Dallas Cowboys, and you drafted in the 4th round Trevor Etienne. So you added to what you already had was a strength in Chuba Hubbard. Miles Sanders just didn't give you much last year because really it was Chuba Hubbard and everyone else. Because Miles Sanders had that injury that he suffered, I think it was the game over in Munich in Germany. He had that injury injury during the season. Came back late in the year against Atlanta, had a good game when Chuba Hubbard was a little bit nicked up, just kind of dealing with a lower body injury. And then sure enough, Miles Sanders had that one pretty good game at the end of the year, but you didn't get really much of anything from Miles Sanders in the 2 years that he was with Carolina. And unfortunately, you didn't get anything from last year's 2nd-round pick in Jonathan Brooks. He played those couple of games, had a few snaps. You saw a flash of what it could be, but retore the ACL, and he's not even going to play again this season. But you still went out there and you got another 1,000-yard running back to go along with Chuba Hubbard, and you drafted Etienne, someone that could actually be a third down back for you as a 4th-round pick. So you've bolstered already a strong group. And if Dave Canales wants to stick to his guns about being a running team, well, then I think a way to make sure that you can consistently have a strong running game is making sure that you have some level of balance between Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle this upcoming year. Because in my eyes, obviously you want to give Chuba Hubbard the lion's share. He is your guy. You signed him to the big contract extension for a reason. Someone that was drafted and built on your franchise and on your roster for several years. And then Rico Dowdle signed to a 1-year deal. I think those two guys are somewhat similar in how they play. I think in an ideal world, Victoria, if you ran the ball 25 to 30 times in a game, all right, let's say you run 70 plays, you throw the ball 35, you run 35, whatever it might be. Like, that's like true balance. But really it might be, if you're running that many plays, means you have the ball a lot, which is not a bad thing. Let's say it's 40 and 30, 40 passes, 30 rushes. I like that ratio. That's fine by me. But obviously you might be in a situation you might be having to run out the clock. If you have a lead, you're going to be throwing less, you're going to be running more. No problem with that at all. But let's say on average you're going to run the ball 30 times in a game. Like, I'm talking like design handoffs to your running back. Who's to say that you don't have 18 to 20 carries for Chuba Hubbard, and then somewhere like 10 to 12 carries for Rico Dowdle, and then a couple touches maybe out of the backfield for ETN as a third down back in the passing game? Like, who says not? Like, who says that you don't have, let's say, middle of the second or early second quarter, you have a drive where you can turn and hand the ball to a fresh Rico Dowdle in the backfield and hand him on a drive the ball 4 times on a series. Turn and handle the ball and just grind down the other team. And then late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, if things are going well, you can do the same thing. Like on an 8-play drive, you turn and hand the ball to Rico Dowdle 4 or 5 times. So then it comes late in the game, you have a fresh Chuba Hubbard, and the other team is worn down. And here's something to keep in mind as well. What's the strength of the offensive line? It's the run blocking. If you look at some of the advanced stats from last year, like NFL's next-gen stats, some of the advanced numbers that they like to do, they have a thing called run block win rate and pass block win rate. So it's the percentage of time that you as an offensive line win your run blocks or win your pass block. Again, how they determine all that stuff, I'm not going to get into the minutia and all that. It's convoluted, and I don't have time to explain it. But they use that same metric to really all teams. The Carolina Panthers offensive line was 10th best in the NFL in run block win rate. 10th best. I'll take top 10 in anything. Especially for this Panthers team, I'll take top 10 in the league in anything.
For sure.
10th best, Victoria.
At least
run
we're
block.
not a 10th in like being the worst. But we kind of are. But we have potential this year.
But you go to pass block win rate, Victoria. The Panthers' offensive line was 30th in the NFL in pass block win rate. Now, obviously, you hope that you still get progression. Now, there was a little bit of a revolving door at center last year with Cade Mays coming in for Austin Corbett and as well as Brady Christensen. So there's a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of volatility last year at that center position, which hopefully if you have consistency from that position this year, you can have a little bit more stability with your pass blocking up front. And also just more starts for this offensive line together up front, and this system is going to help a ton. And you hope that your 6th overall pick from just a couple of seasons ago, Ike Ekwonu, your left tackle, now in year 4, going into year 4, elevates his play as a pass blocker. Because you know what he could do as a run blocker. He's phenomenal at it. But when it comes to pass block, he's got to improve. Just simply has to improve. And hopefully you can have that with consistency. But you look at what the Panthers have added this offseason. We talked so much about, oh, man, they got Jimmy Horn, they got Tedero McMillan at receiver, Mitchell Evans. They have all these guys that they brought back. But it's like, well, we kind of overlooked, Victoria. Like I said, you brought in another 1,000-yard rusher. You have 2 1,000-yard rushers on your team from last season. Lean on those guys.
Please.
Yeah, because there's always the buzzy term in football nowadays is complementary football. I love that, buzzy terms. Complementary football. Controlling the clock, controlling the tempo of the game helps your defense a ton. Because the more clock that's chewed up during a game, because you're consistently running the ball and you're just moving the chains, hey, First down, second down, pick up another first, keep things moving, right? The more you can do that, the more it helps your defense. But I think that something that will help your pass blocking is if, one, you don't fall behind and you're chasing games and other teams know you have to throw the ball. But when you use play action, that's going to help your offensive line as well. Because it's going to make things easier for Bryce Young to get the ball out of his hands quickly because he's going to have more open targets. Because if defenses get sucked up the field, anticipating the run, and you saw that play action, guess what? He turns the play action, turns around, puts the foot in the ground, boom, there's Tetairoa McMillan on a 12-yard crossing route. Catch and go. Oh, here's Xavier Legette on an underneath route. Oh, look, Adam Thielen, open again. Whatever it might be, it's only going to help Bryce Young, and then now you got teams guessing. So, yeah, you got two 1,000-yard backs, and you have a top 10 run-blocking offensive line in the NFL. Dave Canales, truly put your money where your mouth is. Run the damn ball. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Quick update here from Chapel Hill out there at Boschmer. Top of the 5th inning. North Carolina up 10-2 now, Victoria. They got a couple more runs there in the bottom of the 4th, so they've extended their lead.
Yeah, a little more cushion.
A little bit more. A little bit more. So North Carolina, top of the 5th inning, 1 out. Arizona at the plate. They got a runner on second base, but North Carolina 10-2 lead. In this situation, I know your starting pitcher right now is approaching 75 pitches here through the 5th inning, but the more you can get out of him, the better.
Mm-hmm.
The more you can get out of him, the better. That way you can save your bullpen.
Yeah, and if he's staying hot, I'd keep him in there.
Save your bullpen. It's more or less just you're not going to use Knapp, who's the starting pitcher. You're probably not going to use him in the next 2 days. So go ahead and if you can get as many innings out of him as you can right now. This is actually one of the things that will pay dividends for North Carolina, assuming that they hold on and win this game. And then let's say Arizona does come back and win tomorrow and they force a game 3. You've already taxed their bullpen because Arizona's already had to go to their bullpen multiple times already in this game. North Carolina hasn't, which truly is the biggest advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Get to the bullpen early if you can, if you're North Carolina, which they've done. That'll pay dividends even tomorrow. And then game number 2, some guys just might not be available. It's just what it is. So, yeah, 10-2 Tar Heels up over the Arizona Wildcats there at Boschmer Stadium. Coming up tonight as well, I think it's a fun weekend of sports. You have Game 2, Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2,
Can't wait.
Stanley Cup Finals. We saw Edmonton Oilers get an overtime win. Come from behind victory.
Yeah.
Come from behind win. They fell behind 3-1. To me, Victoria, I feel like this. I predicted that Edmonton's going to win this series in 6. I said that Edmonton and Florida were going to split these first 2 games. I'm 100% still in belief of that. Just because Florida had the 3-1 lead and Edmonton chipped away and forced overtime and got the win, it doesn't deter my belief that Florida is just going to lay down all of a sudden, oh my gosh, they're going to get swept. I think we overreact so much to game 1 result. I'm like, it's a series, right? Yeah. But I hope we get a repeat of what we saw in game 1. That's all I want.
Me too.
I just want a repeat of that. Just a great game.
More good hockey.
More great hockey. More great hockey. Other news in the NHL, it's interesting. We talked about, I'm sure Adam did, I know I've talked about how a lot of people want Rod Brind'Amour. There's at least, not a lot, there's a loud contingent of fans that wanted Rod Brind'Amour fired for not getting past the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Final. Pete DeBoer, the Dallas Stars head coach, who has gone to 3 straight conference finals with the Dallas Stars in his 3 seasons there, got let go earlier today. Was relieved of his duties, as the general manager said. So Dallas Stars are looking for a new head coach on a roster that's built to win right now. I look at what Dallas and Pete DeBoer, and I look at their situation, and this is what I view. I see a team that really had no choice but to fire their coach. And here's why. Pete DeBoer, after that Game 5 loss to the Edmonton Oilers, a game that he had to win, threw his goalie under the bus. Dallas gave up a couple goals quickly. 2 goals on 2 shots. Really, it was Dallas's defensive breakdown that allowed those 2 goals, those 2 scoring opportunities. So Pete DeBoer calls a timeout, changes his goaltender. Now, I thought he was going to go back to Jake Ottinger after the first period, just to basically like send a message to your team like, hey, guys, wake up. Because you can't just pull 18 skaters, but you can make a sub at goalie to kind of send a message to the rest of your team. But then Casey DeSmith was still in there, and sure enough, they give up the next goal, and before you know it's 3-0. It's not like Casey DeSmith was doing anything better, but it's the way he was asked when he was asked post-game about the decision to pull Ottinger. Pete DeBoer said, well, if you look at, the last couple of years, he's actually really struggled against the Edmonton Oilers. He's lost 6 of 7 against them. So it's a really good sample size. It's one of the reasons why I pulled him. I was like, whoa, you just admitted that your goalie can't beat the Edmonton Oilers, the team going back to the Stanley Cup for the second straight year. I'm like, that's your franchise goalie. And you said basically, yeah, that guy can't beat that team. Which I thought was, well, why just start him then?
Yeah.
If that was the case. But second of all, how do you walk into the locker room as a coach and expect to be respected by those players? Because players are always going to stick up for players unless they hate that player. But generally, players are going to stick up for players. And I'm like, wait, you're saying you're throwing our franchise goalie under the bus like that? And it's like, hey, last time I checked, buddy, you were also part of those losses.
Mm-hmm.
You were also there. So maybe it's not just our goalie. Hey, maybe it's us too. Obviously, in front of them, have to play better. But you were part of that too. And for you to just throw our guy under the bus like that, who's one of the best goalies in the league.
Yeah.
You could argue a top 5 goalie in the NHL.
Bold move.
Threw him under the bus. It's not shocking that he got let go. Not surprised at all. So word of the wise out there. Don't throw your franchise guys under the bus after you lose a series.
Not a good idea.
Because it's a lot easier to replace you as a coach than it is them as players. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox hit again for Adam Gold this afternoon. It's approaching that time of day. It's the bottom of the 5th inning out in Boshamer and Chapel Hill, but we're reaching the 7th inning stretch. We stretch next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Friday's very special at FanDuel. It is First Inning Friday, where every week FanDuel hooking customers up with a special offer you can use in early game MLB action. So, no runs? Yes runs. How about will anybody score in the game's first inning? Check each team's season stats right there on the FanDuel app. Make the call. They don't have how long will the first inning last because Yankees-Boston, it would last forever. FanDuel.com/AGS, FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy. You're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
Because if interrupting is part of the talent, then she wins.
Giving an RBF face? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everybody saw it.
I didn't say it.
That picture
did not say that.
When they were asking Bill and she interrupts him and they look at her, that's evil. Like,
yeah.
I was waiting for the lights to come out of her pupils.
You're not wrong.
The Adam Gold Show.
Whether you're on your way to the beach, the mountains, maybe you're heading into the central part of the state, hope everyone's getting a good start to their weekend. But always make sure you take care of your body no matter where you go, Victoria. That's why it's important that we stretch.
Always
Fire away,
to stretch. Always important to stretch. Well, I know you mentioned it earlier today, and this is what I was saving. This was going to be this is where you'll see the one-timer that I almost threw out earlier today. However, it is National Donut Day.
Let's go. Let's go.
Not only is it a Friday, but it is a Friday.
Let's go.
Yay. So, there's all kinds of stuff going on because Krispy Kreme holding it down like they always do. You can go get a free donut of any kind, no purchase necessary. They're the real winners of the day.
North Carolina's own Krispy Kreme.
I know. Let's go, Krispy Kreme. You just walk in, tell them please and thank you, and then you get a free donut. You don't have to, but that's just kind of you to do that. Dunkin', I want to call them Dunkin' Donuts, but they took the donut part of it.
See, why are we even giving them love then?
I know. That's why I started with Krispy Kreme, but I'm not a hater, so I'm going to just tell you can go to Dunkin' Donuts and get you a free donut, but you got to buy a coffee or a beverage or whatever.
Get out of here.
I know.
Get out of here.
They say this is the 15th donut day in a row they've had some kind of deal. I guess they were leading up to it. I don't even know.
Boo.
Right? Krispy Kreme's where it's at.
Exactly. Krispy Kreme's like, just come get a donut.
Yeah.
There's no.
We just want to see your lovely face.
No strings attached.
Right. You don't have to dress up like anything. You don't have to buy anything. Just show up. Be kind.
You know, you walk in and be like, hey, look, you're honest up front. I just have needs that need to be met.
Yep.
No strings attached.
Yep.
I come in, get what I need.
I'm not trying to overdo it. Just one's enough.
No obligations, nothing.
Right? And then say, have a great Friday, and leave. So also, I didn't realize this, but there's history of Donut Day. The Salvation Army actually started National Donut Day back in 1938 to honor donut lassies who handed out donuts to the soldiers of World War I.
Oh, really?
I know.
I didn't know that.
I did not either, but that even better to have National
go.
Donuts. I'm ready for more donuts. So
Donuts and dogs?
Oh man, donuts and dogs. They are also hosting an annual World Donut Eating Championship today in DC, which there is a professional eater named James Webb who set a new record last year. Do you want to guess how many glazed donuts James ate in 8 minutes?
Now we're talking like a Krispy Kreme glazed donut, probably, or something along those lines?
It doesn't say. It just says glazed donuts. So
How
I'm
many?
assuming that it's probably Krispy Kreme.
I'm going to go in 8 minutes. I'm probably going to go with 100.
Well, you're not crazy off.
Okay.
70.
Okay.
What? I mean,
all right.
That's like what? 7 to 8 donuts a minute, sort of.
I was thinking, like, if you go through a dozen in a minute, that's 96.
Right?
And you know what? Just cram a few more in there.
I mean, I feel like I could eat 70 glazed donuts, especially if the hot now sign's on.
Oh, gosh.
Just all of them. But once you get past the second one, it's like, okay, we gotta slow down here.
So, if you've been to Raleigh, for them, we have a lot of listeners, obviously, in Raleigh on 99.9 The Fan. But the Person Street Krispy Kreme.
Mm-hmm.
Person Street
Yes.
downtown Krispy Kreme.
Yes.
I have been down by there, and I've seen that hot sign turn on, and cars cut across traffic.
Oh, and that's
as
not
the
a great
sign
place.
popped on.
Not a great place to do that either.
Well, exactly, because there's a one-way street and stuff that's right
Yep.
there. I've seen people, quickly dip and dive in. As that hot sign came on,
Almost take
boom,
out a
diving in
pedestrian.
there.
Yeah.
I have seen darn near accidents.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that. And you know what? I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
understand. Mm-hmm.
I get it.
I mean, I get it too. It's like Christmas. Santa Claus is here. No, so also they have in this article, they have little stats, I guess, which I love this part because we used to get donuts here. Someone used to be very kind and bring in donuts. And so this poll says about 56% of us have brought donuts into work. But if you're thinking about whether you should do it, it also said 51% of people think more highly of the person who does it. So if you're trying to make friends, this is a good opportunity to do it.
It really is.
Yes. There's only 1% of Americans who, quote, hate donuts. I don't know who you are. You probably don't like dogs either. I don't know, but donuts are delicious.
Donuts are great.
Now, this is where the one-timer question came into
Okay.
play. A recent poll looked at people's favorite types of donuts.
Oh, okay.
So my one-timer was going to be, what is your go-to favorite donut?
Oh, okay. My go-to favorite donut? Oh, I have so many. There's a local bakery, a local donut shop here in the Raleigh area. There's 2 locations that has a buttermilk donut.
Ooh.
And it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yum.
That's probably my favorite one. But if I had to go with anywhere, just honestly, a classic just cake donut, phenomenal.
Really good.
Phenomenal. Or a cake donut with powdered sugar,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But those are probably my go-to. I'm simple when it comes to the donut.
Yeah. No, me too.
Simple.
I like a blueberry cake donut, but
Okay.
I also like the glazed with the white icing, the vanilla frosting, or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's people's go-to. Glazed, Boston cream, chocolate frosted, not so much for me, jelly, all that stuff. But if I've made you hungry enough, it's National Donut Day. So go on over to Krispy Kreme, get you a donut.
Or support your local donut shops.
Or the local
Go
ones.
to your local donut
I
shop
do
as
like
well.
the mom and pop places. Those are extra delicious as well. You know what else is delicious?
Winning.
Making great bets.
Yeah.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, no, Victoria, you're going to be all in on UFC 316, so let's start it.
Oh, yeah, I am. Let's go. I can't wait for this one. So kicking things off, I'm going to start with the fight between Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. So I think Kelvin, I really like him as a fighter. He can take a lot of abuse, but Joe, I think is going to win this one, and it's probably going to go the distance because Kelvin is a dog. Both of these guys are. So give me Joe by the points. That's plus 170.
Okay, I'm going to go hockey tonight. Give me Leon Draisaitl 2+ points at plus 115.
I like it. Next up, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. That's the main card.
Yes, the bantamweight rematch.
Yes, it is definitely a rematch. Merab got the belt, and he has beaten Sean O'Malley. So I'm going to go with Merab because I think he's got that dog in him. He's minus 150 to win by the points, though, but I'm going to take that.
Okay. Give me the Edmonton Oilers I take this back. Give me the Florida Panthers on the money line, minus 108 tonight.
Nice. And last up, co-main event, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Big fan of Kayla Harrison in this one. Pena, she's just trying to get to Amanda Nunes again. I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison, and I'm actually going to say by submission in this one, plus 145.
Okay. My final one here, Connor McDavid scores a goal tonight, plus 145. Anytime goal scorer. So there it is. We'll talk a little bit more UFC 316 coming up. But on the other side, Wall of Sound next on The Adam Gold Show.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It's Friday, right? Major League Baseball and FanDuel. Oh, what a couple. And it's first inning Friday on FanDuel. So, how about runs in the first inning? Yes or no? Will anybody score in the game's first frame? Well, the Mets are in Colorado, and Colorado's given up runs like they're trying to do that. So, yeah, the Mets are going to score in the first inning. And every first inning Friday, you can expect a special reward, a profit boost, a no-sweat bet. So come on back. Take another swing. Go to FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. You'll be ready for first pitch on First Inning Fridays with FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
Leon Draisaitl has the first goal of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2.
Ekholm ties the game.
Puck drop at 8.
Draisaitl scores! Overtime game winner with just 31 seconds remaining.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare hands. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Yeah, it was stressful. It was tiring. You know, for sure affected me and Mikko's play too in a way that there's so much uncertainty, and big deal for him, big deal for myself, like organization, fans, everything. Type of player he is, caliber player he is, good friend of mine, you know, like, right. You don't think about it on the ice, but like maybe you look back at the tape after the game and you're like, okay, I shouldn't even try to force that pass, you know?
Right,
So maybe,
I agree.
So it does like affect in a way that like you have to just play the game and let things happen.
The sounds of Sebastian Aho with Adam Gold last week during the exit interviews asked about Mikko Rantanen's situation that happened during the regular season when they not only required him, but then obviously Mikko wasn't happy about being traded in the first place. Then he's like, I don't want to be here. I didn't ask to be here. Blah, 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 blah. And there's a human element to all this. I think that is a good reminder to all of us about how there is emotion. Everyone's human. There is an impact to all of this. And that is something that we have to keep in mind with all these situations, is that there's always a human element. You don't know how people are going to react. And Sebastian Aho being open about, the whole Mikko situation, it weighed on me. He tried to make it work. Like, I tried to force passes to him as opposed to just making the right play. It impacted his play. It impacted the team. He was hurt by the whole deal. And I respect him for being open and honest about it. Because, again, we have to keep in mind that there is a human element to all things that we have in sports. Real quick score update, Victoria. North Carolina, bottom of the 6th inning, at home against Arizona. Game 1 of the Super Regionals of the College World Series. Up 10-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. They have runners on first and second with 1 out. The big man, Hunter Stokely, coming up to the plate. Already has a 3-run jack in this game. Big-time power coming up from North Carolina with a chance to extend their lead even further. Looks like maybe Arizona might be going to the bullpen. Actually, not right now. Just a little mound visit. But, North Carolina right now taxing Arizona's bullpen.
Telling the pitcher to calm down.
Oh,
it's okay.
Hey, that's fine. Tax the bullpen in Game 1 if you can. If you're North Carolina, tax that bullpen as best you can. Let's go ahead and get Victoria to the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
So that's a game taking place at Chapel Hill. Last night we saw Game 1 NBA Finals, Pacers Thunder. Pacers get a 111-110 win last night off a shot by Tyrese Halliburton that went in with 0.3 seconds left. The first lead all game for the Pacers. First lead all game. They led for 0.3 seconds. That's all they needed. That's all they needed was 0.3 seconds. Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle, they were down 12 at halftime. Eventually found themselves down 15 in the fourth quarter. The head coach of the Pacers talked about halftime adjustments.
There were different areas. I mean, they were getting to the rim a lot in the first half. The turnovers were the first thing that we talked about. You know, it seemed like we were doing a good job on the boards, but they had 20 more shots than we did in the first half. And so that was really fool's gold too. And so, look, it was just, hit the reset button. Let's go whistle to whistle in the third quarter. try to chip away at it and try to hang in.
They stuck around. Now, again, early in the fourth quarter, Oklahoma City did open up a 15-point lead. And I thought that was the point. Like, all right, Oklahoma City runs away with this thing. Because it felt like Indiana, for much of that game, especially in the second half, just kept it somewhere in that 8 to 12 range. Like, never let it got too far away, but never really closed that distance. I thought when they got to 15 that it was going to be over for them. But, again, they chipped away. And Tyrese Halliburton, who had that game-winning shot again, talked about the resiliency of the team.
Through the course of the game, it kept getting, it felt like it could get ugly. Who knows where this game is heading. I thought we did a great job of just walking them down. When it gets to 15, you can panic, or you can talk about how do we get it to 10, how do we get it to 5, and from there. So, I think all series, that's what we've preached as a group is, when we get down big, let's just find a way to incrementally get it down. And it was at 15, and we got it to 8 pretty fast, and that gave us confidence. Kept getting stops, Miles and Andrew made big play after big play down the stretch. Miles got a wide open look on the wing, missed that one, but we just stuck with it. Andrew was huge down the stretch, and we got a big stop there, and they got a lot of confidence in me to make that shot. So I don't know what you say about it. I just know that this group is a resilient group, and we don't give up till it's 0.
Fifth time this postseason, the Pacers have overcome a 15-point deficit. Fifth time this postseason. Most by any team in a single postseason since 1998, according to ESPN.
Says a lot about them.
Yeah, talk about resiliency. It's like, 15? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Just another day.
Mm-hmm.
Just another day.
No worries.
They stick around with it. Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault discussed what was some of the common factors in that Pacers comeback.
The common denominator is them. That's a really good team. Credit them, for not only tonight, but their run. They've had so many games like that have seemed improbable, and they just play with a great spirit. They keep coming. They keep playing. They made plays. They made shots, so they deserve to win by a point. We got to learn from it. There's obviously a lot of things we can clean up, but credit them. They went and got that game.
If I'm Oklahoma City, I'm Coach Daigneault, I'm telling my guys, hey, look, I understand that we lost this game, 1-point game, but we didn't shoot well from 3, and we got out-rebounded, and we didn't take advantage of all the opportunities that Indiana gave us. Indiana had 25 turnovers in the game. Now, again, some of those dead ball turnovers, ball goes out of bounds or whatever it might be, but it's still opportunities that you have to take advantage of. Now, I actually thought that Oklahoma City, at least what I saw in the second half, did a really good job of actually getting in the paint in the second half. Paint touches are a big thing. Because paint touches, if you get the defense to collapse and defense to rotate, that's where you start to get open looks from the outside. Now, again, Oklahoma City did not shoot well from 3 at all. Didn't shoot well from 3. Only made 10 3-pointers in the game. I'm sorry, I take that back. 11 of 30. My apologies. 11 of 30 from 3. But still, that's only 36.7%. Whereas the Pacers, 18 of 39. 46.2%. The total number of shots Oklahoma City had in the game was 98. Indiana was 82. You're going to shoot at a higher percentage because you're better than what you put up yesterday. So I'm going to tell my guys, don't freak out. Let's just finish our opportunities. Obviously, make the adjustments that you feel like you need to. Maybe, Daigneault's got to look and say, all right, how do I tweak my lineup? Like, what's my rotation for guys? Whatever it might be. You make that adjustment. But you can't panic just because you lost game 1. And that's where also Mark Daigneault, the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, talked about not letting the game 1 loss carry over into game 2.
Well, there's a lot more games left in the series, so we understand that. We got to get ourselves to 0. As we always do, that's a habit that hopefully we've formed. These guys have made a habit of being able to get ourselves centered and play our best game in the next game. So you got to tip your hat to them. They got us tonight. They played really well. They deserve to win. But we got to learn from it. We got to improve like we would if we had won the game and get ourselves ready for game 2. It's really what it comes down to.
Even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the NBA this season, of the Oklahoma City Thunder, also talked about how they can make sure the team responds well going into game 2.
As much as we can, we just got to treat it like every other game, every other situation we've been in. yes, we haven't been in this situation, but it doesn't mean our character has to change or what we did last time. It's still basketball, it's still the game of basketball that we grew up playing. The rules don't change just because we're in the finals. So it's like we've been in this situation before. In the other situation, we handled it well. We were better for game 2, and that's the goal.
They were down 1-0 in the series against the Denver Nuggets. Came back and won that series. It definitely can be done. You win tomorrow, or you win the next game, you split the 2 games over in Indiana. Before you know it, you're 2-2 back home, and it's a best of 3, and you have home court advantage again. And the series ain't lost. Far from it. I just hope we keep getting entertaining games like we saw yesterday. I just hope we keep getting entertaining games that we saw last night. And like we saw a couple nights ago with the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1.
Oh, yeah.
You have that tonight. I hope to see more of that tonight.
Please. I love it. Hey, if they want to go into OT, that's cool too.
Hey, fine with it.
Either one.
You know what's interesting? I always look about how teams manage their rosters, whether it's the NBA, the NHL, NFL, how teams build and construct their rosters. What's their process of doing that? We have seen the Oklahoma City Thunder get a really good young star in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just after 1 year in the league, and they built a really good team around him with all the draft capital and everything that they had. Now, it took them a while to build at this point, but they made the right moves and also drafted the right players as well. Indiana, kind of similar in that they got Pascal Siakam from Toronto, who was more of an established star. They got Tyrese Halliburton, young early in his career, just after a couple of seasons, and they drafted and built well around those guys. Again, finding the right guys that fit your team, trusting your scouting or department in that regard. It's no different, really, than what you see, like you'll see tonight with the Edmonton Oilers or with the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers went and got some good young players that fit their team, like Matthew Tkachuk, who was still early in his career when they acquired him from the Calgary Flames. Sam Bennett started his career with Calgary, but they also drafted some really great players as well, like Alexander Barkov. They drafted Aaron Ekblad and some of these others and supplemented their roster. For example, they got Eetu Luostarinen, who's on their third line, is a really good third-line player. They got him when he was super young, actually from the Carolina Hurricanes, when the Canes acquired Vincent Trocheck all those years back. And he's grown into being what he is a contributor on that team. I'm always intrigued by these things, and I always look at how the Carolina Hurricanes can do the same thing. And this is something I'm going to ask our good friend Brenden Whitted, not only going to talk about Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but how other teams around the NBA and even in other sports can learn about how they build their rosters, similar to what we're seeing other teams doing right now. I'm going to ask that question to Brenden Whitted and others next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
Here's Halliburton driving, lifting, shot up, good! With 0.3 of a second to go!
The Stanley Cup Finals.
McDavid out of the corner right in front, and Draisaitl scores! Leon Draisaitl, overtime, game winner, with just 31 seconds remaining.
The U.S. Open and the College World Series. Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Whether you're new to it or a seasoned vet, if you're a writer, then you know that we are just kicking off the writing season. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and June has always been a month that really starts off numerous motorcycle events, rallies, and shows. It gets new riders excited about putting the rubber to the road because the weather is gorgeous. But that also means that a lot of other people are planning their summer vacations. And as a rider, when there's more people on the road, it is so imperative to ride defensively to help prevent an accident. Now, if you are in a wreck on your motorcycle that wasn't your fault, it is so important to remember to always call Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders too, so they get it. They know the value of your bike and your gear and the investment that you've made. Case evaluations are always going to be free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. It's a blockbuster men's French Open semifinal. World number one Jannik Sinner is battling 24-time Grand Slam champ Novak Djokovic under the lights on court Philippe Chatrier. The winner of this match will play defending champ Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's men's final. Earlier in the day, Alcaraz rallied from one set down to take the next two before 8th-seeded Italian Lorenzo Musetti was forced to retire in the fourth set with a leg injury.
Beginning of the third, when I was serving, I start losing a little bit of strength on the left leg, and definitely was going worse and worse. So I decided to stop. I think was the right decision to make, even if it was not what I wanted.
Musetti was playing in just his second major semifinal after reaching the same stage at Wimbledon last year, where he lost to Djokovic in straight sets. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
I'm curious to see if we're going to get another game in this series like we had in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. And to talk a little NBA Finals, being joined by one of my good friends, Brenden Whitted, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Brenden, last night when I was watching the game, and I sent you a message, hey, I want to talk NBA Finals with you. And I was actually thinking, watching the game, I was like, Tyrese Halliburton's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Like, fourth quarter, I thought he really was. Like, the usage rate and everything just wasn't there. And then he does he did it again, Brenden. He did it again. I can't make sense of it.
He did it again. And, I think the greatest trick the Pacers have pulled is that I believe now, right? Like everybody on that team believes, regardless of how much they're down. They're down about 15 points in the middle of that fourth quarter, man. Like that's you're supposed to be cooked in an NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Game. And at no point did I think that they were going away the white flag, and never thought Carlisle was going to be like, all right, we'll go lose another day. Like they're not. They took home court advantage in Game 1, right? They're the underdogs in this entire series. So the idea of them winning in OKC, legitimately, at least in these first two games, didn't even occur to me. But the fact that they have consistently, he dropped Milwaukee off in last-second fashion. You know what he did to New York. He did it to Cleveland. He just keeps doing it, and he just has ascended. And I don't know if it was his time with the Olympics, because I've been going over and over in my head, like, what changed?
Yeah.
Right? I knew Halliburton was good last year. I did. And the whole overrated thing, I've heard more about people complaining about him getting overrated than I ever did about the initial vote of him being overrated. But athletes got to have these things that motivate them.
Of course.
But the fact that he had these moments last postseason where he just couldn't quite seem, when they needed a bucket, he couldn't quite seem to do it. I don't know if it was the offseason with the guys with stuff like Curry and Bron and just being around them consistently and seeing like, hey, I can hang with this. I'm here now. but he has been so much better in these clutch situations. But it's more than him, though, right? They had 6 guys in double figures last night.
Yeah,
like they played 9 or 10 guys in the game. Like, this is the most. I think this is the most well-balanced team I've seen in the finals in a really, really long time. Nembhard took a step back 3 down 6 or 8 with 2 minutes left.
Banks it.
And did it and knocked it down and was cool with it. Like, everybody has the ultimate green light. Everybody is confident in what they do. I'm just really, really surprised. I'm impressed. Rick Carlisle did a masterful job late in that game. Man, last night was so much fun.
It really was. I hope we get 6 more of those. That voice you just heard, Brenden Whitted. Give him a follow on X, HU Cosell. Check out all the work that he does. And he's a basketball mind. I love talking basketball with Brenden. To me, Brenden, also watching that game, I thought there were just too many empty possessions for Oklahoma City. I thought they did a really good job of getting in the paint. One of the biggest things I look for in basketball is paint touches. Even if you love shooting threes, you still got to get in the paint in some way, shape, or form. Get in the paint, kick out, whatever it might be. I just thought that Oklahoma City let too many possessions go based on how many turnovers Indiana had. Only 11 points off 25 Indiana turnovers. In my mind, Oklahoma City kind of let them off the hook in a way.
A lot of those were dead ball turnovers, and meaning that the ball went out of bounds and then they had to inbound it. So it's a little bit different from live ball turnovers, which are attacking transition. Everybody's transition defense is worse than their set defense across the board, no matter how good. But the other thing that saved the Pacers, and I agree with you, they let them off the mat a little bit in that first half. They were up 12 in that first half. Felt like it should have been around 20. One, OKC missed a lot of open three-pointers.
They did.
They had a lot of good process, a lot of good offense that just resulted in some bad misses. And it's not that they shot poorly from 3. I think they were 11 to 30. So that's around 33, 36%, somewhere in there. That's still a very, very good percentage for you, or a solid percentage for you. It's just that they got beat by 21 behind the arc. OKC was 18 to 39, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, that helps a lot. They got beat by 16 or 17 on the rebounds. That hurts a lot. So OKC is now, it's one and done. So if you're not making it, you're probably not getting an offensive rebound either. They were able to keep the Pacers out of transition. I think the Pacers won by 1 point in fast break points. They were able to keep them out of transition. But those three-pointers, those rebounds, kept them within striking distance so that you could have that kind of last-second miraculous finish.
Brenden Whitted joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. You mentioned a little bit ago about the balance of Indiana's roster. And I think we might see – we always see it in sports, sometimes an overcorrection. You see a couple teams make a final, win a championship. Everyone wants to try and model that in some way, shape, or form. And I bring this up because I know here in North Carolina, we're looking at the Carolina Hurricanes and how they're building their roster. It's this obviously different sport, but philosophies can be similar. You see Oklahoma City got a really good young player like Gilgeous-Alexander and then acquired all this draft capital and drafted all these great players, and they built the team that way. Indiana, similar. They got a couple really good young players, Halliburton being one of them, and they've drafted really well around these guys, and that's how they built their roster and then supplemented with free agents, as opposed to, like, let's just spend all this money and go in on, like, 3 or 4 guys. Hello, Phoenix Suns. So I'm wondering if we're going to start to see that overcorrection, because I look at the Carolina Hurricanes and I see they have that same kind of trajectory of what Indiana and Oklahoma City are doing. Now they can maybe go and pay a free agent because they built their core up. Do you see the NBA overcorrecting itself to follow the model of what Oklahoma City and Indiana have done to build their teams for the future?
Well, one, shout out Hurricanes. Gave me a hell of a NHL postseason experience. I like that really locked me in. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to think that you're going to be able to, like, you look at it through the lens of the Hurricanes. I look at it through the lens of the Hornets.
Okay.
Right? Another small market team.
Fair.
None of those guys are going to, like, OKC is never really going to be a free agent destination. They have had big names like Paul George in the past, but the other big names, Russ, KD, those were guys that they drafted. The Pacers drafted well around Halliburton, who they got in a trade for Sabonis with Sacramento, and then Siakam, who came down from Toronto. But, like, those are their 2 best guys. And then, as you mentioned, they built around them. You have to have the stars as anchors, right? You can do a lot of good drafting. Now, OKC is a little bit different because they had, like, that's like a treasure trove of draft picks that they had. Yeah. They turned, I mentioned Paul George, they turned him into what essentially is SGA and a handful of other guys on the roster. But they drafted so well. it's almost an outlier for how well they put that team together. Like, maybe you can replicate what Indiana did, but because of the how well OKC drafted and how many draft picks, we hear a lot of times about draft picks moving here or there, and then you go back and look at who actually got selected, and it's usually like, okay, he was there with the team for a couple years, didn't really make a big deal, and then he went off into another trade. OKC has consistently been able to mine talent, and it's not even guys that they drafted; it's the identification of talent. Isaiah Joe, who came into came to the league as a spot up shooter, was one of the best spot up shooters in his draft class. And he was with 76 for a while. I think he bounced around a little bit more. And they've got him, and now he's creating off the dribble. He's just a completely different player than the guy that entered into the league. So their ability to identify talent either through the draft or even in the free agency is something pretty special. And that's what you have to have. I started this with, I look at this through the Hornets, the spectrum of the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Where are the guys that they have consistently drafted and developed, right? Because I look at LaMelo, and I don't think that he's that different from Halliburton. He's not as healthy as Halliburton. They went back to back in the draft. But if you look at their styles of play, both guys that are big three-point shooters, like to pass the ball, get the ball moving, increase in pace, they're not that dissimilar. The difference has been his health, obviously. But who's the guy you're going to pair with LaMelo? Who's the guy, whether it's through trade, through the draft, who is that other guy? They got Siakam, who was huge for them last night. Carlisle moved him to center at one point, had a huge block at SGA at the rim. They were able to get up and down a little bit more, create a little bit more space. Like, those are the guys you have to hit on. And at some point, the Hornets just haven't consistently hit on that. And it's not going to ever matter who's head coach, who's whomever, if you're not being able to not only identify talent, but keep that talent in the building.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's Brenden Whitted. Give him a follow at HU Cosell. Real quick, final question, 30 seconds here, Brenden. I know Indiana obviously took game number 1. OKC come back and win this series? Or is it Indiana's to take now?
I still think it's OKC. As I mentioned, they missed a lot of open three-pointers. Those are shots that they're going to get again, and those are shots that they're going to make. They have to have a more consistent effort from J-Dub. SGA went for 38 on some pretty steady shooting. Mm-hmm. He was really, really inefficient. They have to have more from him because it can't all be on the MVP.
That's Brenden Whitted. He's the basketball mind at HU Cosell. Brenden, I love you, my man. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Big thanks to Brenden Whitted, as always, for joining us. I always love talking basketball with Brenden. He's always got a clear mind and locked in, and it's always interesting talking about how again, as I mentioned a little bit ago before that conversation, about how I wanted to ask Brenden Whitted about how teams put their rosters together. And obviously, every sport's a little bit different because in the NBA, you only have 2 rounds of draft. That's it, 2 rounds of draft. And then obviously you do have the G League, but hockey is a little different because you have 7 rounds of draft. And then you have guys that could still be in college even though you have their contractual rights. So they could be in college or in juniors or then in the minors. So the development is obviously a little bit different. The expectation's obviously a little bit different. So it's different sports, but philosophies that can be very similar. So that's the reason why I bring that up. And then honestly, we talk about roster construction, Victoria. It's becoming really no different in college sports now because of transfer portal. How do you balance putting together a roster, whether it's basketball or football? How much are you going to the transfer portal to bring in players? Are you going for players that might have been kind of stuck in a bad situation at another Power 5 school? How do you bring those guys in? Or are you looking at Group of 5 schools and saying, hey, that's a really good player at this Group of 5 school. Let me bring this person in that could be a role for our team. But also, how do you balance recruiting freshmen out of high school? Because I hear people say, well, just go get guys out of the transfer portal. Just go get guys out of the transfer portal. Well, those guys have to come into college at some point, right? Everyone in college that plays sports was a freshman at one point. Why can't you just have great freshmen that you develop and build on your own as well? How do you build that? Bill Belichick, obviously he's got a lot of guys from the transfer portal, a lot of guys from Power 5 schools this upcoming season. But he's not afraid to recruit, and he's not afraid to recruit locally. We'll discuss that in 4 minutes.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshIIP.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Friday's very special at FanDuel. It is First Inning Friday, where every week FanDuel hooking customers up with a special offer you can use in early game MLB action. So, no runs? Yes runs. How about will anybody score in the game's first inning? Check each team's season stats right there on the FanDuel app. Make the call. They don't have how long will the first inning last because Yankees-Boston, it would last forever. FanDuel.com/AGS, FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy. You're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
Quick update here on the Super Regional College World Series. Top of the 8th inning. North Carolina's got a couple outs already. Top of the 8th inning. They're up 13-2, Victoria. 13-2.
They tagged on 3 more since we last talked
Yeah, I
about
know.
it.
They're just keep adding, just building and building and adding more and more and more. Jake Knapp starting pitcher for UNC, went 7 innings. Now he did throw one batter in the 8th inning. He got on base, but he's since gotten out. But 7 innings total, 104 pitches, 9 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, 3 strikeouts.
Wow. On
104 pitches. And then hopefully, if you're North Carolina, that your bullpen just takes care of things quickly. That way you don't, you're not using any extra pitches or, let's go to the next guy in the bullpen. This is about as ideal as it gets if you're Carolina for baseball to get things started. I mean, Arizona's had to use 5 pitchers in this game. Their starter got rocked, only won an inning and a third, gave up 8 earned runs. But Arizona has had to go into their bullpen a lot. Yeah, Carolina couldn't have asked for really much of a better start to the Super Regional. Getting that first win at home. Again, obviously there's still baseball to be played here. It's not completely done. But, Arizona's down to their final 4 outs. So that's where you are right now. So score 13-2 in favor of North Carolina. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. Victoria producing the show as always. Speaking of North Carolina, Bill Belichick, their head coach for men's football, for football, just pulled in a couple of local recruits, a couple guys from Rolesville, brothers, Xavion Griffin-Haynes and Jaden Griffin-Haynes. From Rolesville High School. For those who may not know, Rolesville High School is just out on the outside of Raleigh. Bill Belichick, when he got hired, Victoria, talked about how they want to be a national brand. They want to recruit nationally. They want to be able to go to California, Ohio, Georgia, Illinois, whatever it might be, to pull the best players. Because they view North Carolina as being a national brand. And the brand of North Carolina is a national brand. UNC. It's North Carolina. I mean, I'm going to tie this in. I'm a big sneakerhead. All right. I own probably way too many pairs of sneakers, but there's a lot of Jordan brand and Nike branded stuff that has the name UNC literally attached to what it's called. Like, that's the UNC Reimagined or whatever. There's a UNC Reimagined Jordan 1 that just released a few weeks ago. So people are talking about the shoe. They are saying the name UNC. They see the color and they go to North Carolina. So it is a national brand. Even though on the football side of things, it hasn't really grown quite to the national level that it has the potential of becoming. And that's one of the reasons why, obviously, you go get Bill Belichick. You're trying to raise that profile. But one of the big things that he says when he got hired back in November was he still wants to make sure that he recruits local as well. That recruits guys inside the state of North Carolina. And Xavion Griffin-Haynes, Jaden Griffin-Haynes are part of that. Xavion Griffin-Haynes was actually committed to North Carolina under Mack Brown. Mack Brown, I'll give him a ton of credit, rebuilt the relationships that North Carolina had lost with high school recruiting in this state under the Larry Fedora. Fedora did not recruit inside the state of North Carolina. And if he did try, he didn't do a very good job of it. Just did a terrible job with it. Lost a lot of relationships with the high school coaches. And guess what? You started seeing a lot of these great players in our state go to other places, like Dexter Lawrence goes down to Clemson. You see Jalen Walker go down to Georgia. You see James Pierce go to Tennessee. You see a lot of these great players. Bryce Love goes to Stanford. All these great players leaving our state. Mack Brown did a pretty good job of helping rebuild that. And obviously, NC State, part of keeping guys in state as well. Peyton Wilson, in-state recruit. Bam Knight, in-state recruit. A lot of these guys that they kept in. Drake Thomas, in-state recruit. They were able to build a lot of guys from inside the state, which is a good thing. I want guys that are from the state of North Carolina to stay inside the state of North Carolina. I don't care what school they go to. They can go to Duke. They can go to Carolina. They can go to State, Wake. I don't care where they go. Go to App, go to ECU, go to Charlotte, Davidson. I don't care. Go. But stay in state. Same thing with basketball. I want that to happen. And the fact that he was able to get a 4-star recruit, Xavier Griffin-Haynes, Bill Belichick did, and Jaden Griffin-Haynes, a 3-star recruit, to stay in-state but also local as well, is massive for Bill Belichick. And Xavier Griffin-Haynes talked about this as audio courtesy of our friends over at High School OT. Big shout out to Joel Bryant and Evan Moesta for getting us this audio. But Xavier Griffin-Haynes talked about the process UNC had of making him feel like a priority.
So as soon as Bill got in the office, he came to see me. I was his first stop, and we talked about a lot of things about the future for me. About if I end up going to UNC, I ended up going to UNC. So just about the ability that I have for the program, and just they just kept recruiting me, doing a good job recruiting me. Saying on top of me, I was like the number one, player on the board. So they kept recruiting me and coming for me hard.
So again, he was a commit to Mac Brown. After Mac Brown got fired, reopened his recruitment. Bill Belichick's like, nope, I still want you, and made that commitment. And then his brother Jaden talked about the process of UNC recruiting him and the decision to go to Chapel Hill.
Being his first stop, it showed that he really wanted us. He told us he wanted us, and he told us he wanted us to impact the program. So I think that's just the biggest thing with him, coming in and then playing hard, playing to my ability.
If you're a North Carolina fan, you got to love this. The fact that he was able to pull a lot of transfers in from Power 5 schools. And then again, also finding some top guys that you might find, again, that are from a group of 5s. That's okay. If you find great talent from those places, go for it. But in-state recruiting still matters. High school recruiting still matters. As much as we talk about transfer portal, Victoria, recruiting players from high school, especially in your state,
are homegrown.
Still matters.
You want to support the people who are here. They're local. And your family's here, so it's easy to travel if you don't have to go across the country.
It all helps. It all helps for sure. But one thing that I want to stress with people is you have to ensure that you find the best way to develop and grow your culture from players within. That's the best way to grow your culture. Especially when like football, because you have 100+ guys on your team. If they're all new, well, who's the leader? What is the culture if everyone's new? I mean, North Carolina had plenty of guys that stuck around. Like Omarion Hampton stuck around for 3 years in North Carolina before going into the NFL draft. That's a homegrown player. Not every player. I know there's the fear in college sports that, hey, I'm going to bring this person in development and they're just going to get poached away and taken away by someone else. There's a level of faith that comes into all this as well. And there's also no guarantee that the transfer you bring in is going to be there longer than 1 year. There's no guarantee in that. I mean, look at Van Allen Lubin from UNC basketball. He's transferring to NC State. That's going to be his 4th school in 4 years.
Right. He's got no roots.
Yeah, he went Notre Dame to Vanderbilt to North Carolina down to NC State. I mean, there's always going to be a risk that comes with this. But still recruiting great high school talent still has to matter. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Real quick here, score update, Victoria. North Carolina 14-2 now. They are just adding more runs. 14-2.
It's like every time you blink, there's another run.
I know. Like, oh, look, they're adding more. Like,
all right, let's make this a football game. 21.
Yeah, you know what? They just got an extra point. It was 13-2. They got the extra point.
Yep.
They gave up a safety.
Yep.
That's it.
PAT.
That's all they got. They gave up a safety. That's the reason why they're up 14-2. Speaking of football, by the way, the ACC, we have some dates, Victoria. By the way, one thing I love about schedule reveals, I'm not the biggest fan of schedule reveals in general, but at least you know dates, right? So you can anticipate, I want to go see my favorite team play against this other team. At least I know the date I can schedule in advance.
Right.
I know a lot of people love the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Yep.
That Duke's Mayo Bowl, which features ACC schools, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We have a date, folks. Friday, January 2nd, 2026.
Oh, okay.
So the day after New Year's. It's a night game, Duke's Mayo Bowl, 8 p.m. on ESPN.
Wow.
So it's a Friday night game for you, which always features an ACC team, by the way. We've seen teams, for example, North Carolina. We've seen NC State play in this bowl game. Speaking of North Carolina, they tacked on a field goal, Victoria. It's 17-2 now.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
They
literally
are spanking Arizona right now.
Just laying it on.
Just getting crushed.
Telling you. It will be 21 by the end.
See, they kicked the field goal. Literally, it was a 3-run homer.
Wow.
They kicked a field goal. 3-run homer, 17-2.
Are there any outs?
There's one.
Oh, wow.
One in the bottom of the 8th.
Okay.
It's like, you know what?
Still time.
You know what the wild thing is, though, with baseball? Is that you can put up 17-2 and then go into the next game.
Yes.
And Arizona can win 1-0.
Absolutely.
Like, Arizona could score less than they did in this game and
still
win like 1-0.
Baseball.
Sports.
Yep.
Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Sports, right?
It's
Sports.
crazy.
It's wild, this right now. Well, you know what? Heck of a start for Carolina. As well as, listening to some people talk about it. I mean, I don't follow college baseball as deeply as some others do, but the way apparently Carolina was playing late in the season and going into the College World Series and the NCAA tournament, that a lot of people felt like, hey, they could really make a run to Omaha and win this whole thing. When you're belting homers like that and you're winning 17-2, yeah, I feel pretty good about it too.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, Victoria, it's baseball. You just never actually know. You just never actually
crazy.
know. Back to what we talked about, though, is with ACC involving bowl games and stuff like that. The college football playoff quarterfinals are actually going to be on New Year's Day, or 3 of the games are going to be on New Year's Day. Capital One Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential, and the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Those are all going to be on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve is the Cotton Bowl, which is one of the other quarterfinal games as well. So ACC's hopefully be involved in as many of those games as possible. But we got the dates of different stuff out there. The national championship game's on January 19th.
Oh.
January 19th.
Wow.
They gotta. This is something that I know Dave Doran has talked about. I know a lot of college coaches have talked about it. The dates of these bowl games and playoffs, and as it relates to the transfer portal, has to change.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Because unfortunately with the transfer portal, what the dates are, because you can enter the transfer portal basically when your season is over, the regular season is over.
Right.
You can enter the portal. Well, a lot of guys are trying to figure out, I want to get transferred in and get my credits and stuff and apply and get accepted into the school by the time the next academic semester starts. Well, that puts me in a tough spot if I'm trying to transfer, but my team is still playing. Like, I got to look out for what I want to do to set up myself for the future, but I want to make sure I get to spring practice with this other school. We saw for pretty much every team last year in the college football playoff, they had guys that were in the transfer portal while they were still playing.
Right.
Penn State's backup quarterback, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, was looking to transfer to go to another school because sitting there behind Drew Aller. Drew Aller was coming back for another season as quarterback, but he actually had a role as like a running quarterback in their offense, was actually used in some different packages. Well, he's going in the transfer portal. He's going to be at another school by the time these CFP games are taking place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real difficult situation for him as well. Now, there are situations where guys will go into the transfer portal and still play in a bowl game in December or whatever it might be before they leave. And a lot of coaches generally are willing to accept that. But it really puts coaches in a tough situation. We saw, I think it was Marshall this past year, didn't even go play in their bowl game because they had so many guys into the transfer portal. They got a new coach who happens to be Tony Gibson coming from NC State, their defensive coordinator. They didn't even get to go play in their bowl game.
Yeah.
Because they just simply didn't have enough guys.
The overlap is killer.
This stuff, it has to change. Like, I don't know who's going to initiate it, who's actually going to be in charge of it, but the solution is adjust the calendar so you're not playing these games after the transfer portal is opened.
Yeah.
In my eyes. Maybe you only, like basketball, you have one transfer window. One.
Mm-hmm.
It's after the season, it's in the summertime. One.
That's it.
Maybe that's what you do, but obviously, if players are going to anticipate going into spring, transfer portal and they don't want to practice, I get it. It's messy, but maybe it's just one transfer portal during the whole year. Maybe that's the solution. I'm not entirely sure. It is what it is. But you know what? Victoria, again, 17-2, North Carolina beating Arizona right now. I know something you're looking forward to very much this weekend. I'm going to ask you questions about this. I did not prompt you on this.
Okay.
I only wrote in our show rundown, it just said UFC 316.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're very excited about this one.
I love it.
I know you're very excited about UFC 316.
And I'm going to be, I know this is a stacked card, but I'm also in town and not doing something on Saturday. So I get to watch it.
There you go. I know you mentioned earlier when we did place your bets. I'm actually going to go with the final 3 matches on the card.
Yeah.
Like you said, pretty stacked card. We got 2 title fights. But one of the fights that you mentioned, Kelvin Gastelum taking on Joe Pyfer. It's a middleweight bout. Joe Pyfer favored heavily in this one.
Yeah.
At minus 380 on the money line.
Yep.
Gastelum, like you said, can take some damage, but Pyfer, it seems like a younger guy that's on the up and up, and definitely has the reach advantage and the size advantage.
Yeah, no, his trajectory is on the upswing. Kelvin, for whatever reason, he's seen better days, and you could see it. Like, he had his last fight that he won with Daniel Rodriguez, but that was in June of last year, so it's been a minute.
It's basically been a year between fights.
Yeah, and Joe, his last fight was December of 2024, so he's on a 2-fight win streak. He's kind of got the momentum. If you look at his resume, the guys that he's been fighting, to me, are a little more upstanding than, Daniel Rodriguez. He's been in it for a while, but he was also out for a while, came back, and then lost to Kelvin. So I feel like they're on 2 different levels. Kelvin's going to give it his all. He's going to fight the whole way. But it's going to take a lot to get him out, so that's why I think it's going to go to decision.
Yeah, and Kelvin Gastelum's actually lost 6 of his last 9 fights.
Yeah.
So a lot of those fights have gone the distance, but 6 of his last 9 fights. One fight that's interesting to me, Victoria, that's also coming up this weekend, Kayla Harrison challenging Juliana Pena for the women's bantamweight title.
Yeah.
Kayla Harrison, 18-1. She's the challenger in this. She's a minus 800 to win this thing.
She is a minus 800.
Which kind of blows my mind. You generally don't see the challenger with such high odds over the champion.
But I think Vegas knows this. Like, Juliana Pena, she may have the belt, but she is nothing compared to Kayla Harrison. Speaking of people who are up and coming and really finding their rhythm, Kayla Harrison, she's an Olympic gold medalist for judo. Okay. She was actually the first and only American to win Olympic gold back in, I think it was 2012 and then 16.
Okay.
So she is kind of new-ish, sort of, to UFC, but she has such a promising career. Now, she did go down in weight. She's in a different weight class, but I don't think that's really going to be too much for her because she's just used to it. This is what she does. She's built for this kind of stuff. So Pena, she last fought for the bite, but it was against Raquel Pennington. This was a while ago. This was October of 2024, and that was actually a split decision. And that one, I don't really believe that Pena got that one. I felt like it should have went to Pennington. However, it did not. Never let it go to the judges.
Yeah,
That's
never
key.
let it go to the judges.
Ever. Don't ever let it go to the judges. But, yeah, Juliana Pena, I think she's just trying to ramp up because she wants to fight Amanda Nunes. Amanda's back from retirement. So if anybody,
is she?
Yes.
Amanda Nunes coming out of retirement?
Yes. And that was the last person that fought, she fought Juliana Pena the last time she won against her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Pena, she had all the drama where she was trying to say that Amanda retired after their fight because she was scared. Like, that's kind of the
Even
take.
though Nunes won?
Amanda's, she was like, let's do this again. And Amanda's like, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
I don't need to deal with you anymore.
So, I don't know.
What's your name?
Exactly. But I see this being a really, really good fight. And that's why I think Kayla, I could absolutely see her knock out Juliana or submit her. Because, I mean, she's a professional.
Of
she's
course.
An Olympic gold medalist.
Of course. All right, final one. Sugar Sean O'Malley challenging Merab Dvalishvili for the bantamweight title. O'Malley, in a rematch, lost his title a year ago in a decision, went 5 rounds, trying to regain his title back in this one. He's plus 230 on the money line. I'm a big fan of O'Malley.
Yeah.
I love his personality. It's interesting because even at 135 pounds, he's 5'11", so he has a reach advantage over most guys that he faces. He's definitely a great striker, but it feels like if he can't regain this title, he's unfortunately in a pretty stacked class. He's going to have to move back down the card a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a 4-inch height and reach advantage in this against Merab, but Merab's no stranger to winning. He's actually, the last time Sean fought, it's been a little bit longer than Merab. He actually fought for his title against Umar Nurmagomedov back in January. Won that one, obviously, because he still has the belt. And Sean, people are talking about Sean. He's not going into it dyeing his hair like he typically does. He's usually the guy who's got like pink and blue and purple hair. Not doing that, staying off of social media, trying to take this seriously. So, I mean, it could go, I could see it going the distance. I feel like UFC wants Sean to win because he brings a lot of eyeballs to UFC.
He's a personality.
But I don't know. Merab, to me, he's on it. Like, he knows his game. He knows what he's doing. He's comfortable. And that's really important in these situations. So, I don't know. If you want to maybe roll the dice with Sean, that's not a terrible idea because if it goes to the judges, you do not know. So it could easily be a split decision, but I think the belt's going to stay with Merab.
It's going to be a stand-up and strike fest. For 11 of the last 12 fights for Diviliashvili have gone the distance.
And he'll probably try to take it to the mat, too. I could see him try to do that.
As we wrap things up here, by the way, North Carolina added another run. It's 18-2 Tar Heels in the top of the ninth inning now against Arizona. 2 outs away from going on to Game 2 of the Super Regional against Arizona tomorrow at Boshamer with a 1-0 series lead. Victoria, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Until next time, we bid you adieu. Goodbye, and enjoy your weekend.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We have to talk to the Atlantic Coast Conference. Why in the world are State and Carolina not playing 2 college basketball games this season? For the first time in over a century, Carolina won't host State and men's basketball. What do you think your media partners want? More or less rivalries? We know the answer.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Triple play, triple play, triple play, freeway.